Hey everyone, it's Frankie, and before we get started, I just want to send out some well wishes to our brother Joe Christie, who has been fighting this long and difficult battle with cancer. And, we're all looking forward to seeing Joe at the Legends Fan Fest in June 4th. So I just want to say, Joe, we're with you and we support you, man, and kick cancer's ass. Welcome to Broken Kayfabe, the unofficial after show of Breaking Kayfabe with Baldred and Barry, and I am joined once again with my co-host Ariel Agbalog. And Ariel, it only feels like 2 days since we last recorded.
It does only feel like 2 days because it has only been 2 days since we last recorded. How are you, Frankie?
I am wonderful. You are 100% correct.
Check.
Hey,
borrowing gimmicks.
Still in them, just outright ripping them off. So we do have an exciting episode today. We have something that we are going to try this one time. It might work, it might not. If it sucks, just skip through it. If it doesn't, just let us know that you enjoyed it. We might do it again. But we are going to voice over a la Mystery Science Theater, or call it, the old match of the week with Jay Youngblood, Ricky Steamboat, two of my favorites as a child, versus Jack and Jerry Briscoe, one of the best tag teams of all time.
Yay.
Then we have Matt Crowder talking with Chris Zaucha. And then we're going to wrap it up, and we're going to talk a little bit about the Undertaker's streak. And all of this content that we've got this week is coming courtesy of this past week's episode of Breaking Kayfabe with Baldred and Barry.
Okay, yeah, that's absolutely right. Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
I'm off today. What is going on?
Oh,
no, I'm sorry about that. But I just had 2 cups of coffee and all that stuff. I'm kind of wired. I'm kind of
still half asleep.
Well, you know what? I don't know whether or not I'm working again this weekend. They didn't give me a definite answer, so I'm kind of like, okay, I should have that mindset right now that I am expected to work this weekend again. So I'm trying to, wrap my head around it. Another, like a third weekend of work or something like that. I don't know. I guess. I don't. I'm in a little fog right now. Sorry about that. I am so sorry. Let me. It's one of those days for me. Okay. I'm sorry, Frankie. I don't know what to say right now.
I think you need to get back in bed and edit this whole morning out of your life. Huh? Let's just pretend like it didn't even happen.
I know, it's actually nighttime for me.
All right, so here's what we want everyone to do. Go to the video, Ricky Steamboat and Jay Youngblood versus Jack and Jerry Briscoe, Mid-Atlantic Wrestling Rewind Wednesday. I think the YouTube channel is called Fan Cam Commentary, and there is no commentary over this match, but we're going to play it. We're going to start at the 4-minute and 50-second mark. I'm going to give you a second to get there. You don't have to get there, Ariel. You should be able to see it on your screen.
Yes, I do.
Good. All right. And everyone's got a chance to get there. 4 minutes, 50 seconds. You can get it there. Go through the ad if there is one. And then you can go ahead and hit the pause. And when I say play, just hit the play. All right. Here we go. I'm going to hit the play in 3, 2, 1. Play.
Good cue by the dog.
Oh, boy, that's loud. Hang on. Okay, so you should see the match on the screen there. Give us just a second here. I'm adjusting the audio. Ariel, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, good. Let me turn this down just a little bit.
All right.
Just going to make just a couple more adjustments to the audio here. And here we go. All right. So we've got the Briscoes, Ricky Steamboat, Jay Youngblood. Jay Youngblood is in the ring with Jerry Briscoe. Ricky Steamboat just slammed the head of Jack. Jack selling that slam of his head into the mat.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Youngblood and Steamboat they look alike. So much alike. They look so much alike. I couldn't really tell them apart earlier. But yeah, what fine athletes they are. I don't know.
All right,
I'm not a great commentator either.
Steve-O takes the cover. He's got Jerry Briscoe in the ring. Jerry Briscoe with the burgundy trunks.
And Steamboat and Youngblood with the blue trunks.
Jack Briscoe also has the blue trunks.
Oh, wow. It's like... Yeah, he does. I'm so horrible at this. But, okay, a tag. Someone's in.
Double chop.
Double chop.
And Jerry Briscoe takes the powder. Jay Youngblood goes out after him, throws him right back into the ring. The crowd is on fire.
So, this was when the Briscoes were heels, correct?
Correct.
Okay. How were they heels? Like for very long or many times? Because I'm not really familiar with the Briscoes too much.
Me neither. But I was present for this
nice.
feud. Yeah, that was good, right? Bringing him from the outside in with the splash. Looked like his leg almost landed on Jerry Briscoe's head. It did not.
Yeah.
All right. Jay Youngblood with the side headlock.
Oh.
Now you see how Jerry brought him over to the corner.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So he got him a little closer over there to Jack. He's holding Jay Youngblood down as Jack comes off the rope with a stomp.
Oh, that's nice. Yes.
So there at the beginning, the baby faces got their shine, and now Jack Briscoe. I love one thing I love about him is watch. It looks like he slams him down like with so much force, and he's so mad. He sort of jumps back after he does it, like he's angry. I love that.
That's a nice backbreaker.
So I think that's how Billy Robinson used to do that backbreaker.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Wow.
All right, here we go. Jay Youngblood is in the rear chin lock, being held. Oh, as Ricky Steamboat's distracting Shu Schwartz, in comes that dastardly Jerry Briscoe with the stomp to the sternum of Jay Youngblood.
How can you tell them apart? I'm having trouble telling them apart right now.
Well, I did watch this probably when I was 4 or 5.
Okay. This is actually my first time watching it. So what kind of maneuver is this? A rear chin lock or is this like into a submission type maneuver? Because usually I see this as like a rest hold, but it looks like, this is nice.
That's called the bow and arrow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I need your wrestling expertise here.
Oh, trust me, I'm an expert in nothing.
Oh, well, you've had time in the ring and I have not.
Yeah, well, that was also 20 years ago.
Well, that's.
Oh, it looks like Jay got the ropes. Jay Youngblood, that is.
Mm-hmm.
A big knee to the back. Youngblood working back up. Oh, look at that! Slams him back into the turnbuckle.
Oh, okay. I could tell them apart now. There's tassels on Jay's boots.
Correct. And Ricky Steamboat is way more jacked.
That is true. But I can't really tell from, this.
Yeah, the color and lighting.
The lighting. Oh, wow. I just picked them up like, oh, I like how there's just string over there as a barricade of some sort.
Yeah,
there you go. That's pretty. That's pretty cool. I haven't seen like this kind of wrestling in a while. I haven't been really watching wrestling in general. Just highlights of modern stuff, right? WWE and whatnot. But
yeah,
it's been a while since I've seen anything classic.
I'm the same. I'm just trying to get some more content for us.
Okay. Because Lord knows we've just ran out of about stuff to say or things to talk about.
Oh no, man.
No, we don't. We have a lot of stuff.
So that was a good hub spot. Looked like Jay was going to tag. There is that backward suplex that Jeff talked about, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
He just dropped his back across that top rope.
Oh man, that looked crazy.
Yeah, it looked like his back bent too much.
Yeah.
All right, Jerry Briscoe sitting on Jay Youngblood's back with another chin lock. Referee Stu Schwartz down there.
See, no one does a chin lock like this anymore. It's like right now chin locks are more like rest holds. I mean, just as a time to rest and everything. This one looks like a submission also. Like it looks almost like a camel clutch type of maneuver.
Yeah, did you see what just happened right there?
Yes, but
so Jay Youngblood got over to the corner, but Ricky Steamboat wasn't there because Jerry Briscoe knocked him off the apron. It's tremendous. I mean, and that's the whole purpose of the rest hold. It's to bring the people down. They work and maybe to get the breath, but bring the people down, and then you have that big hope spot where they get up. They think that Jay Youngblood's going to tag, but no, Ricky Steamboat's out of the corner. Now we take it back down.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Now look, you hear the people popping again. Jay Youngblood getting closer to Ricky Steamboat, but the Briscoes cut him off. Knee drop by Jack Briscoe. Everything he does, it seems like he's doing it with cruel intentions. He's doing it to try and hurt, and he's angry and he's mad. It's tremendous.
What's your opinion on wrestlers wearing the same colored attire like opponents, like right now?
Well, now the modern day, it would be more, no one wears just plain tights anymore, right?
Right.
So it wouldn't happen modern day, but yeah, I think they should have mixed it up. I think Jack and Jerry should have matched.
Yeah,
with the colors.
Exactly.
I thought so it used to bug me when here you've got Ricky and Jay in blue, and then you've got Jack in blue, Jerry in burgundy.
Yeah, right, I know. It's actually bugging me right now.
Yeah.
Nice chops. Oh, Steamboat just fired up like that. He is jacked. My goodness. Oh, look at her. She's fired up too. Love it.
So Ricky Steamboat gets the hot tag. I don't know, this long crowd shot.
So, yeah, I know, right?
But so this part kills me. I don't know why he took it to where he's wrapping Jerry's leg around that post. I mean, it kind of killed the fire a little bit. But he's bringing him back in, going to work on the leg.
Oh,
looking around the crowd.
Yeah, isn't this like a heelish tactic? Wrapping up, the leg around the post and everything.
Oh, well, I get the reason why. It's because when they started this angle, Jack fell back, or Jerry fell back on Ricky's knee and injured his knee. And then the next time they did it, they actually jumped out on purpose. So Jack had Ricky Steamboat in the figure four, and Jerry ran and splashed it, or vice versa. One of them had Steamboat in the figure four, and the other Briscoe brother splashed the knee and hurt Ricky's knee. So that's why Ricky is attacking the knee.
I see.
I was wondering why that was, and it just came to me.
Okay. Makes sense now. See, that confused me right there. I thought it's the blue tights.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa. You never see that anymore. Someone dropping the fist on a knee. Wow.
I mean, when you think about it, if you're thinking about in terms of the real world, I don't think that that's the way that I would do it to hurt someone.
No, of course
not. But it looks great,
yes,
the way he's just rearing back and cocking. All right.
And I would never do this in a fight either. It looks like Indian Deathlock with the bridge type of thing.
Well, yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. It's great though. Look at that visual. Looks painful on both people actually, but
Jack Briscoe breaking up the leg lock.
That is great.
And we have about 15 minutes. About 10 minutes is actually gone in the match.
Mm-hmm.
We started almost the 5-minute mark. Jay Blumblug's up to his feet. Oh, shot of the crowd again.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Jerry Briscoe made the tag. Jack comes in, cuts off Youngblood, whips him in the corner.
Ooh, clothesline.
Youngblood with a clothesline out of the corner. Youngblood appears to be dazed and confused, going toward the wrong corner.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he sees Ricky. The second hot tag to Ricky. Chop. I don't know what that was.
I don't know either. But it was effective.
It was. Ricky Steamboat top rope.
Oh, with the fist.
Fist to the noggin. Jack looking over to Jerry to break it up.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Youngblood and Jerry Briscoe tumble on the outside. They are fighting. Ricky Steamboat and Jack on the inside. The cameraman here is focused on the action outside.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
One of Ricky Steamboat's signature move, the elbow to the gut, then the fist to the head. Jerry Briscoe is coming off the top rope.
Oh, breaks it up.
Ricky Steamboat had the pin, but referee Stu Schwartz was outside with Jay and Jerry. Oh, he sees Jack's got the pin. And there we go. Those cheating heels.
That's a really good match.
Yeah, so Southern went about 12 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So, yeah, that was pretty cool. So we'll see what kind of feedback we get on that one. I hope the people enjoyed it. If not, then maybe they will enjoy this talk with Chris Zaucha and Matt Crowder. And again, let me remind you, you'll probably hear me and you'll probably hear Chris Zaucha saying, Frankie, you hate us, or Frankie, well, why ain't you talking? Well, it's 11:30 at night, and that's twice that I did that in a row. Once with Travis and Matt, and then the following night I had to do it again with Matt and Chris Zaucha because Chris Zaucha fell asleep the night before, quote unquote, fell asleep. So anyway, yes, I'm exhausted. I'm just letting them have their brothership talk, waiting for it to end. And so you'll hear Chris say 1,000 times that I look like I hate everyone. It's not that I hate anybody. I love the whole world. I just want to give the world a hug. I just was exhausted. So now we'll go to Matt Crowder, Chris Zaucha, and then myself in the background being miserably tired. All right, folks, I've got Matt Crowder from out in the Bay Area here on the line, and Chris Zaucha, who is driving his car. So, gosh, Chris, please be careful. Here we go.
Absolutely.
I don't need that kind of viral content, bud.
All right, what do you want to talk about?
Chris, you let us down last night when you baby-faced yourself this afternoon and, graced us with your presence.
I literally baby-faced myself when I put my baby to bed and fell asleep.
No, it was like last night. Well, when you shared Travis's text, I probably was laughing for 2 hours. I'm not.
So I'm like, I'm sitting on the couch. It's like 9 o'clock last night, and I got Bryson sitting next to me. We're watching the Batman, not the new movie, but the old cartoon from like the early 2000s. And I just pass out at like 9:20 or something. So it's about like 9:50, and Shannon calls me. She's upstairs. She's like, "Can you please put him to bed?" I'm like, "Yeah, fine." So I put him upstairs. He has like a twin size bed or whatever. I lay down. I don't remember anything after that. I was tired apparently.
Yeah, you were totally narcoleptic there. I resemble that remark a lot of times.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I totally understand. But I mean, I can't wait till you hear the end of the last show, because I cut a promo on you. We said we're getting you back, and whole 9 yards. It's great stuff. It was Picasso like.
Did you? Yeah, I'm sure. Did you submit that for your promo contest to Frankie?
I did not. And I told Frankie, I'm like, cut it up, use his bumper. I don't care. I mean, it does what it needs to do. Even though at first I sucked, and then I came back because I got the Jimmy Valiant back in me. He was like, Willie, my blood, Chrissy, blah, my blood, my street people, stuff like that. You get into that, you can't go wrong.
Look at poor Frankie. He hasn't cracked a smile one time. What does that tell you, Matt? What does that tell you?
Well, bro, let me tell you, I was stone cold asleep. I was snoring snuggled up to my wife with a dog sort of in between us, and another dog on the other side of her, and then another dog at the foot of the bed. I was gone. And then I woke up and I said, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be hearing two assholes talk about WCW 93 right now. So that's where I got up. So, yeah, no, I won't have a smile probably until in the morning.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I like unhappy podcasters.
I try and seem happy most of the time. I force myself to smile because I have the what I call the resting bitch face. But we recorded a couple hours last night, and so I endured that one, and I was a little disappointed you didn't show up. But tonight I'm like, hey, I'm just gonna let you guys talk. I'm gonna do my job and just record and shut up, because I will know nothing about what you guys are talking about.
Well, what did you guys talk about? Did you guys actually talk about 1993 WCW yesterday?
We did probably some mid-90s stuff. We're all like towards the end of the call. Okay. Was mostly like mid-90s wrestling. We went through the gambit. We didn't do anything. We talk about some specific. We did talk about your guy, Big D.
Big D.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. I told Travis, I'm like, I'm sure he's in a corner somewhere, losing his mind that he's not on this call, and we're praising all hail Big D.
Yeah. Nash is awesome. I don't care. Like, he's not going to wow you with his technical skills, but he doesn't have to, because he's really tall and he just does big man stuff, and he's great. Nash is awesome. Even
with the hair flip, right?
The hair flip is that's what puts him over the top. He wouldn't be as good as he was without the hair flip.
It's just like, yeah, no. Well, it's like, look how we came in. Let's not talk about Vinny Vegas, like how he debuted Monday Night Raw, and then over like the next 6 months, he becomes probably the biggest ass kicker in the WWF.
Oh yeah, and you know what? Honestly, I even at the time, I actually liked Vinny Vegas. I didn't think they should make him world champion or anything, but if I remember correctly, I could have sworn I thought they put him with Harley Race for a period of time, but I got to confirm that because I could be wrong.
I think that may be a product of the Mandela effect. But hold on, a quick Google does show a video, a clip of a video with Vinny Vegas and Harley Race.
Look at you, savant. That Stick Wrestling podcast appearance really went to your head, and I mean it went up.
If I could have sworn that it was like him, I want to say he teamed with Mr. Hughes, but I could be losing my mind. I don't know, but I thought he would have been like a good opponent for Sting. Like, after Vader beat Sting for the belt, they could have built Vinny Vegas up as like kind of like what's his name, kind of like Vader's enforcer type thing or whatever. Just somebody for Sting to get through to get to Vader. But obviously they weren't thinking the same thing. So
I think Nash at this point was probably pretty discontent I mean, good God. I mean, look from 92 WCW to 1993 WCW.
Yeah,
By
I know.
end of the year, Big Josh is gone, and he goes to be Doink. You have Diesel, you have Vinny Vegas being Diesel. And then you have, I mean, middle of 92, you have Scott Hall becoming Razor Ramon or, Diamond Stud.
I know.
And all other stuff. How Vince made the cast-offs his mid-card and, upper mid-card with Diesel when he became that, because he became such a big deal about the next 3 pay-per-views after King of the Ring. He made a splash in SummerSlam, hurting Mr. Perfect's back, and then Perfect pretty much didn't wrestle again until 1997.
Yeah.
And you get him blowing people up in 1993, even though it wasn't as much as it was in 94. Right. And then you have the Royal Rumble, which made him for life.
I just watched that Rumble match within the last month or so, because I remember I've only seen it one time, and that was like when it first aired. And I remember just hating it because Undertaker had lost earlier in the night, so I was super duper pissed off. So I watched it finally again just within the last month or so, and that Rumble is actually pretty kick-ass. It's actually pretty good.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites. It definitely is. I mean, at the time, it furthers what it needed to do, which was to get Bret and Luger to WrestleMania 10. Yeah. But also, it's just like it made Diesel that night. And Diesel pretty much that entire year ran roughshod over the entire WWF. He had, a title match, had actually 2 title matches, and then wins the title at the end of the year.
Yeah. No, they saw something in him. And the funny thing was, like, him and Razor, like when he was in WCW, Diamond Stud was fucking awesome. I don't know what I cannot wrap my head around the fact that they didn't see something in that guy. Not necessarily making him like a Cuban knockoff or whatever, but Diamond Stud was fucking badass. They get him, and obviously when Mean Mark was there, Mean Mark was fucking. I loved Mean Mark Callis, and they saw nothing in him. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you guys?
Well, if you look at 1990 to probably 1993 and a half WCW, I mean, good God, you could probably say, why the hell did they not do anything with anybody?
Yeah, I know.
Outside Vader and Sting and Cactus Jack to an extent. That's about it. And then 94, it kind of kicked off where, you had the Nasties that came back late 93, mid 93, and then Kevin Sullivan and Cactus Jack and, other stuff. And then Flair coming back too, which towards the end of the year winning the title back. But
yeah, I loved it. That's the thing. I love that era of WCW, like 91. I'd say more so 92, 93, and 94 up until Hogan got there. That I loved all that shit, even though there was some questionable decisions made. Like that talent roster they had was really fucking unbelievable. They had Dustin, they had Steve Austin, who was always Steve Austin from the first time I saw him in WCW. I didn't see him in World Class because I wasn't watching World Class when he was around, or USWA, whatever it was. When he first came into WCW, he was good right away. Like, he was always good. And then he just kept getting better and better. I'm like, fuck, this guy's going to be like the next Flair. And I was way wrong. He ended up being something completely different. But all those, like, Cactus Jack was awesome in Cactus Jack was, wow. His feud with Sting was awesome. Feud with Vader was awesome. Cactus Jack he kicked ass. Actually, his feud with Paul Orndorff was really underrated too.
Yeah, no, I mean, you had Steamboat tagging with Douglas. Yeah. You had Barry Windham and Dustin Rhodes. You had the beginnings of the Lord Steven Regal TV title reigns, where he would always win by getting a draw, which was brilliant. I mean, I mean, Lord Steven Regal, as much as William Regal later on became big, no one can touch how big of a snob and an ass that Regal was. I loved it. Like, pushing up his bicep to make him, look like he had muscle. It's so fucking great. I mean, good God. You just...
Feud with Larry Zbyszko in '94.
Yeah, I remember that.
Awesome.
The fact that Zbyszko came back because they had booted him out of the Dangerous Alliance, 2.5 years earlier?
Right.
And then I'm like, okay. And then I remember in '94, Regal fighting Inoki at Bash at the Beach.
Right. Yeah.
It's like in the middle because it's like, oh yeah, we're gonna get ready for Hogan because we had to see his wife and the Blunder in Paradise crew in the front row, every 5 minutes. It was like Kurt Warner at the Super Bowl, almost over 20 years ago, where his wife Cruella DeVille was showing like every 5 minutes. I'm like, okay, we get it. You worked at a grocery store. It's a big story. I don't need to see your goddamn wife.
That's great. Yeah, that's they had, like I said, for all the dumb stuff WCW did, it was never because of the talent in the ring. The guys in the ring were fine. It's just they were either put in bad gimmicks or just the overall presentation just wasn't as good as WWF. And I like WWF too.
Yeah.
I was always an NWA/WCW guy.
Yeah.
Sure. But you have to give all the credit to Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon took a chance. He took those guys, whether it be Razor, Diesel, The Undertaker, and he said, "Hey, we're going to push these guys to the moon with this character that I'm creating." Or, I guess Scott Hall had some input on his character, but so it was whoever was in charge of WCW didn't have the foresight to see that Kevin Nash could be a draw and that whoever was on top should lay down for him and put the guy over and also give him a chance to run with the ball. Hey, look, let's play this clip here of Harley Race and Vinny Vegas.
It's all right.
That blew up. Anyway, that was horrible, but it was him with Vinny Vegas. I mean, with Harley Race, but it was him doing an Italian mobster. Horrible accent and trying to throw in all these mobster references.
I think he was copying My Blue Heaven, I think, if I remember correctly.
That sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it was freaking horrible. I mean, and you when he first came into WWE, he didn't talk. He came out. He was a big man and who stuck his arm up even farther in the air to make himself look even bigger. The same that the Undertaker did.
Yeah.
So, WCW dropped the ball. They didn't have the creativity to see what Vince McMahon did. They didn't have that foresight.
And that's the thing. Like, in '92, Bill Watts was still there. So it's like, why you would think that he would look at him and be like, wow, this guy's tall and he could do something. I mean, like I said, he wasn't Lou Thez, but he could work okay at that time. I'm surprised they didn't do more with him. That's why I almost wonder, had Bischoff been in power even sooner, I'm not saying he would have started an NWO back then, but maybe he would have seen something in Nash that other bookers or creative people did or did not.
I don't know because of how many Hogan people would have were. I mean, look at '94 WCW with how many Hogan people came in. I mean, you had Duggan, you had all these guys. I mean, look at the end of Bash the Beach '94 and how many Hogan stooges are in the back celebrating that he won the WCW heavyweight title. I'm like, for fuck's sake. I'm like, don't have a verbal blowjob over this guy. I'm like, you won the fucking title. That's good enough.
Yeah. Oh no, he got all like Brian Blair's standing there and like Duggan and all these. I'm like, what the fuck is Brian Blair doing here? I'm like, you know what? Whatever. It's not my company.
I was in Florida, so I'm sure he made the trip.
Sure. Well, he made the trip.
Well, yeah, that's a whole nother problem besides, not having the creativity. That's Hogan shooting things down with that doesn't work for me, brother, and wanting to protect his spot. Hey, I'm gonna say the same thing was with Andre. He didn't like any other big man or, didn't like John Studd. So he, squashed him and shit on him. But Hogan was the same way. He wanted to protect his spot. So he didn't want another guy like Kevin Nash, but he was fine with Paul White. Why? Because Paul White was as green as grass, and Hogan could get a piece of the pie, and Hogan would work with him.
That's the with Hogan is that, and I'm not a Hogan. I I still like Hogan, even after all these years and throughout all the stupid shit he's done and said. Towards the end of his career, like in 2002, when he was just putting guys over left and right, like Brock and Rocky and Hunter and Kurt Angle and all these guys, Flair he put over in WCW finally towards the end. The one guy he never fucking put over was Randy Savage. Never fucking did a job for Randy Savage. And I think it's because Hogan, I think Hogan saw Savage as like the one legitimate threat to his top spot. Like Randy Savage could have been as big as Hogan because Savage was that fucking good. You know what I mean? Hey, look, it's Big D.
Yeah, no, Randy Savage and God
and Piper
went through so many bullshit things from Hulk Hogan. I mean, look at it. He has his, the first run they have together is like late 85 to 86, like the house show, the Garden runs and the Spectrum runs. And then they go back and then then they get the Mega Powers thing, which goes for like a year and a half.
Yeah, that was a good angle. That was really good.
Yeah, no, I'm going through like 87 Crockett and WWF television and pay-per-views.
Yeah.
And I just finished the Saturday Night's Main Event where they came together for the first time.
Yeah.
And then it goes in through WrestleMania 4, regardless of how. And I'm kind of surprised that everyone shits on WrestleMania 4. It's like, and I understand why, because it's like, it's this big tournament that a lot of it you could predict. It's very, very, very predictable. But then, Savage has his moment, wins 4 times.
Yeah.
And then has a great run as champion, has a match with Hogan in 89. And then he kind of meanders a little bit in 89, but he still fights Hogan here and there. And then he goes in his program with Dusty Rhodes, which was kind of a step down.
Yeah.
And then rips Hogan at the end of 93. I don't know if you ever remember. I'm assuming both of you know Radio WWF way back in the day, which I don't think anyone got. If they did, fuck. Find the archives and release them, please.
Yeah, no kidding, man. That'll be awesome.
And he trashed Hogan in an interview because, I mean, the rumor has it in WrestleMania 9, he had a black eye from Savage because Savage hated him because of how his marriage ended with Elizabeth.
Right.
And then that kind of went. And the funny thing is, in the end of towards the end of 94, he goes back to WCW, becomes a second to Hogan again.
Right.
And then even though he wins the title again in 95, and then kind of gives it back for the 96 again. And then the NWO angle, he just gets beat again by Hogan at Halloween Havoc. And then, oh, by the way, he joins the NWO the beginning of next year after the Piper stuff. And it's like, what the fuck? And then the only thing really after that, I mean, Hogan just would never put this guy in the same breath as him. And I don't get it. Because to me, you'd have probably been better off building that over time. I mean, Savage did get some back, but he never got a win. May have been like he goes nuts on him for, maybe about 5 or 10 shows over the entirety of their feud. But it's just like, holy shit. Like, give that guy a fucking,
I think Hogan looked at Savage. I think he looked at Savage as, this guy could take my spot. Like when he put Warrior over, like he was going to take time off anyways. And I think he kind of knew that Warrior wasn't going to replace Hogan. Even though Warrior, people can say what they want. For what he was fine. He was perfectly fine. He wasn't Flair or even Hogan for that matter, but for what his character was, he was fine. He wasn't going to do anything, any fucking top wrist locks or fucking bullshit like that. But, people didn't want to see that. They wanted to see him fucking run around and clothesline and splash people and press them all over their head. That's all they wanted to see. So,
and Vince smashing him over too, even though, I mean, that's the thing about Warrior, how much people did not like him until, I mean, you're having the, 45-second main events with Andre. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. I'm like, I would have been pissed too. Be like, fuck you giving me a marquee match 45 seconds.
Yep.
And, it's over. Like, this is what abortion am I seeing in front of my eyes?
I'd be willing to bet that Andre made that call. He's probably like, fuck, if I have to put this guy over, I'm just going to do it quick.
Well, at that point, Andre was just so immobile. I mean, good God, you watch after, I would say, mid-1988, Andre, good God, it was almost insufferable. You felt for the guy, too. I mean, you look back with it hindsight, he just was broken. I mean, the dude was just growing. You could tell he was miserable. I'm sure he was paid well, but goddamn, I mean, it gets worse. I mean, the fact that he had a match, a couple weeks before he died in Japan.
Yeah, have you seen that match?
I have not, because I would be so depressed. I mean, I'd say the last Andre match that I probably watched, of like that like really bad era was probably the SWS and WWF show from 1990. It was just after WrestleMania 6, where him and Giant Baba are tagging, and both of them have no fucking business tagging and being in the ring because they're both just old, slow, the whole 9 yards. And I think they're fighting Demolition. And I'm just like, Jesus. I'm like, oh, you're bumping for these guys. Like, just no.
Yeah, and like in that last match of his, like, he doesn't even walk over the top rope anymore. He like actually crawls through the rope like a normal wrestler. It's not sad. I guess it is sad to see, but it's just like really like, it's kind of like jarring. You're like, wow, I've never seen him not be a giant. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I mean, if you look over his entire career, I mean, it's just like you start to see differences, but when you see his early stuff in the 80s with how agile he was, and then
Andre was good.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, he had his appeal. Even the mid 80s stuff before the machines was good. It served its purpose. Was it, like I said, was it 5-star, Funk Briscoe? Hell no. But you know what? You got to see this dude that was, about 5 or 6 times the size of you. And and it's an attraction, where I think now that's kind of lost. It's more, it's gone more like, it's now like overwork rate, where it's like, okay, I may have seen this before, because it's just, that's the way it is. You don't have big monsters anymore outside of Brock. Brock's probably the only guy that would fucking hit that mark, as far as you've seen this guy over like a period of 20 years impose his will on people. And this guy's going to kick your ass. Don't care who you are, but he's going to come and kick your ass.
That's one thing that's changed about wrestling fans, and I don't know if it's good or bad. So I'm not like one of these old guys like, fuck, modern wrestling sucks, because it doesn't. There's still good shit, but when I was a kid, when I heard that like Sting was going to fight Flair at the first Clash, I wasn't thinking, hey, I hope it's a good match. I was thinking, fuck, I hope Sting wins. Whereas now when you hear a match announced, your first thought is, oh, I hope it's a good match, instead of being like, hey, I hope this fucking guy wins and gets the title. It's just, I think it's because everybody knows that it's fucking, predetermined. So they're not as necessarily invested in who's going to win. And if they are invested in who's going to win, it's because they think like, oh, well, they deserve to win. It's like, well, nobody fucking deserves to win. It's like, you either want a guy to win, or you don't. You're a fan of his or you're not. You know what I mean? It's just a different mindset with today's fan, it would seem.
Yeah, I think more it's the angles too. And I think they get too cute with the angles, where it's like you have to go almost too meta and too like, oh, it's a homage to this. And I'm like, no. Do a simple angle. They're pissed at each other. They stole their woman, whatever else, or, friends. Like, I'll harken back to Jimmy Valiant. Yeah. Fuck, I love Boogeyman forever. I didn't watch it live, but when Classics on Demand was a thing, I had no idea who the fuck Jimmy Valiant was. And when I saw him for the first time, I'm like, this motherfucker is over. He is entertaining. I am pissing myself laughing at just the ridiculousness of him. And I didn't care he couldn't do shit in the ring. I just knew when he was on a promo, he'd go, Tony Schiavone, Willie, Pistol Pants Watley, Shaska Watley, whatever you want to call yourself. The street people, you got that. And you fucking just saw people lose their minds over that. And you're like, it's that simple. And you bought it. It didn't have to be good. It was just like, okay, they're pissed off. It's simple. Let them do it. Let them get in the ring. I mean, I'm not advocating for a 3-year program with Paul Jones's Army. That's a little bit long,
right?
But that's where he fit, and he did it well. Yeah. Didn't matter. I mean, fuck. They put him with Lasertron to try and get him fucking over. Bugsy McGraw. Jesus Christ. I mean, they put him with everybody.
Yeah, but I mean, fuck, he was, that shit was over, and like I said, I mean, Paul Jones. He used to be my least favorite manager of all time, but I have to say Johnny V is probably my least favorite manager that I've personally ever seen. Like I can't count guys that I've never actually witnessed, but Johnny V was really awful. That said, Paul Jones is not much better.
Parlez-vous scrambled eggs, Grandma?
I just watched that. What is this fucking clown doing? So that, I mean, he was terrible. But that Paul Jones versus Jimmy Valiant feud, like I was like 12 and 13. So to me, I was just like, all right, well, I wish this would end, but whatever. I mean, when he got his head shaved and when Manny turned on him, and people were into that stuff. So it's like, well, maybe artistically is not the best shit of all time, but if people are screaming or they're booing or they're cheering, whatever, that's you're getting the response you're looking for. You don't have to worry about whether some fucking smart mark thinks it's a good feud or a bad feud. If the people are reacting to it, then you're fine.
Absolutely. It's just like, it's simple stuff. I mean, to me, it's like, I haven't been to as many shows as, pandemic's probably killed a lot of that, but, but last show I went to was a New Japan show in San Jose, and that was fun. I got Lance Archer's, chaps in my fucking lap, and then the New Japan guy, one of their office people, be like, "Yeah, I gotta take this back," and I'm like, "Ah, shit, well, whatever." Just landed right in my fucking lap, which was great. Yeah. But it was, and I shut off my mind. The only thing that was really bad about that is it was Jushin Thunder Liger's last U.S. match, and they put him in a comedy tag team with Colt fucking Cabana.
Oh wow!
And he doesn't win, and he's tagged up with a local guy, and he doesn't go over, and it's less than 10 minutes. And I'm like, the fuck are you doing? This is the last time I'm going to see this guy. And he was probably the most influential lightweight wrestler of the last 40 years, minus Tiger Mask.
Say minus Tiger Mask. Yeah,
and sure. I'm like, fuck, you give me this?
Yeah. He was at an AAW show 4 years ago on my son's birthday, actually. So my kids don't watch wrestling, but they'll go to the shows just to get out of the house. And we went to the show, and we actually got like the meet and greet stuff ahead of time. And I said to both of them, like, listen, I know you don't like this shit, but I just want you to understand that this is a really fucking big deal. Because Jushin Liger doesn't fucking hang out in Marionette Park, Illinois, ever. So it's like this is pretty cool. So we met him. Like, it's not like he sat there and talked to us, because what the fuck's he gonna talk to us about? But we got pictures with him and stuff. I'm like, man, fuck Jushin Liger. Jesus Christ, this is great. His match was probably similar to the one you're talking about. Like, it was fine. Like, he didn't lose or anything, but he did his Liger bomb, and he did a couple, like his palm strike, a couple of his cool moves. And I'm like, well, fuck, I looked at it like, I got to fucking see Jushin Liger live, like right in front of my face. So that's pretty damn cool.
Yeah, I got to see him twice that year. I got to see him at the G1 in Dallas, and I actually got to meet him. That one of the two times I probably marked out a little bit too hard, but he does speak English. But I just did a quick Japanese greeting, but totally fucking lost my head. But took pictures, was really great. Yeah, and and that was the cool part. Like, I actually got to meet him.
Yeah, that is
like, my God, as a fan, you're like, you see these guys all the time, but then when they're right in front of you, sometimes you just there's always that one or two wrestlers that you're like, God damn it, I just have to be fucking good around this person, or I'm just gonna fucking be a puddle of shit.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And then I was telling one of the girls I work with today, I'm like, I had like a bucket list of wrestlers that I wanted to meet, and Piper was on it, and unfortunately he died before I could meet him. And even more unfortunate is that Piper, from what I understand, from all accounts, was fucking incredible at these meet and greets. Like, he was super, super nice. So that means
in the 5 straight WrestleManias I went to in the late 2000s and into the 2010. Well, I'd say the last one I did was 2010. I had a chance. I think it was WrestleMania 25, but his line was so fucking long, and Access is such a fucking event. And it's like you pick out the people. I still have the program at my house where I have all the fucking signatures from, because WrestleMania after a point, is just fucking insane.
Oh, I believe.
Like, they just give you this big ass program of just like pictures and then the history of the event. And that's it. It's not a traditional program, which I wish it would be, because like when you went to the house shows, you'd get, I think they started doing this in the late 90s. Like, I know like house show tapings and probably Raw tapings too, where they gave you, I think it was either WWF or Raw magazine copy, and then they'd give you the house show card inserted in there, just a piece of paper of the matches you're going to see.
Right.
And you get a little bit of that. And then that kind of went away. It's just, you're going to pay like $10-15 for this fucking program because, we're just going to make money. We see you as a dollar sign. And
sure.
I mean, there were just so many people. I met Sergeant Slaughter, and I think I got on Mexican TV, and just talking to him, I told him, I'm like, your fucking boot camp match with the Iron Sheik is like a thing of beauty from Madison Square Garden, which to me, it is. It's a fucking bloody ass brawl, and it's perfect. And, meeting all these other guys, meeting Honky Tonk Man, Ron Simmons, Greg Valentine, the whole 9 yards, where the lines weren't that long, but they're all happening within a time frame. So you're having to pick your spot. Are you going to spend 2.5 hours just to meet Roddy Piper and not meet the rest of them because you're going to have everybody to wait with? So, I mean, shit. I mean, it's hard to do.
I went to a StarCast, one of the StarCasts in like 2019, and that's a fucking shit show. There's 150 million people there. So I'm there with my kid, and I got my dad. My dad's in a wheelchair, so I'm like, I'm trying to navigate through all these fucking sweaty marks everywhere, and I'm like, I can't, it's hard to move it all. So at one point, I'm like, I leave River with my dad, like upstairs, because there was like a lower level. I'm like, guys, just wait here for just a second, because I'm going to see if I can find Jimmy Hart. Because I had paid to meet Jimmy Hart, but I know where the fuck he was. So I go downstairs, and, it's just more marks everywhere, which is fine. I don't say that in a derogatory way. And I turn around, and fucking Sergeant Slaughter is just sitting there. I'm like, you're Sergeant Slaughter. He, like, does, like, the salute, and he, like, gets up, and it's like, like, you want a picture? I do a terrible Sergeant Slaughter. He's like, you want a picture? I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, man. You're fucking Sergeant Slaughter, Jesus Christ. So he takes a picture of me in the Cobra Clutch. I'm like, dude, this is amazing. And Sergeant Slaughter, he's a big dude. I'm like, man, I would not mess with this guy. I don't care how old this guy is. He is not small at all. So I got an autograph for myself. I got one for my dad. I got pictures of me in a Cobra Clutch. I'm like, well, I came here to meet Jimmy Hart, but instead I met Sergeant Slaughter. So I guess that's not too bad.
Yeah.
Hey, can I ask a question? So I haven't been listening to any of this. I'm
not surprised.
But my old blind my old blind dog is causing a problem, and I just put him out. Just a minute ago, he was just standing by the kitchen table as if something was over there. But anyway, so I've been taking care of him. But just tell me how StarCast work, like in terms of how did the tickets work? How did you get your pictures made with other people? How the autographs work, and compare it to the CWF Legends Fan Fest, if you don't mind.
I don't mind. First of all, I apologize if you just heard me chewing. I'm eating potato chips, so I don't know if you can edit that out.
Shocking fucking statement there.
Fucking hungry. So StarCast.
Hey, you don't have to apologize for anything you do. I've had Jaworski on the podcast.
Oh God. God, yeah. Well, I'm sorry for that. So
The fact he got an hour out of that is surprising to me.
He was talking about Kiss the whole time. So we went. So it was me. Like I said, it was me, my dad, and River. We go to Starcast. I have no idea where the hell to go. It's like this big hotel. I couldn't find the entrance, so I walk in this entrance. It's DDP doing like a big yoga workshop. I'm sitting there with my dad sitting there in a wheelchair, and I'm like, you know what? I don't think this is really meant for us because this guy can't even stand up. I don't think we're gonna do it. And so I turned to somebody. I'm like, how do I get out of here? They're like, I'll go this way. Da, da, da. I'm trying to remember how much I paid to get in. It wasn't. I don't think it was a lot, but then you got to pay to meet like each person. So it basically, it's just a giant convention type thing. There's multiple vendors everywhere. I bought some autographs. Don West was selling a bunch of autographs for like cheap prices too. Like I got like a Sting for like $5 or something. Wasn't addressed to me. It was just said Sting. But I'm like, well, whatever. I love Sting, so I'll take it.
Surfer Sting, Crow Sting, or UWF Sting?
UWF Sting would be amazing. No, it was Crow Sting. It may have even been like Impact Wrestling Sting, to be honest.
Oh, so Joker Sting is what you're telling me?
No, I wish it was. No, you know what? Now I think about it, I'm not. I'll have to look because now I'm not sure. It was not. I know for sure it wasn't Joker Sting. But then we did meet Scott Hall. That's right. We met Scott Hall. I couldn't remember what the fuck we did there. We met Scott Hall, and he is fucking gigantic. And we took a picture like in front of the ladder, for the ladder match. And we get done, and I turn to him and I shake his hand. I go, for what it's worth, you're really good. Like, you're a really good wrestler. Like, I don't want to be like, you're a good worker, because I think that's disrespectful to say, because since I am clearly not in the fucking wrestling business. So I'm like, you're really good. Like, he's like, oh, thanks. I did that on purpose or something like that. He was actually really nice, because I've heard stories that he's kind of a dickhead, but he was very nice to me. So whatever. To compare it to CWF Fan Fest, I was telling somebody about this at work today as well. It's a lot. Fan Fest is 100 times better because there's less guests, there's less people, so you actually have time to like engage in like conversation with people instead of just being like, hey, how's it going? Oh, you okay? Here's a picture. Get the fuck out. At Fan Fest, you can actually take time and like talk to people and share memories with them or whatever. And you meet other fans too. And because there aren't so many people there, it's not like it's overwhelming. So I would rate Starcast maybe like a 6 out of 10. And I rate Fan Fest, 10 out of 10 easily.
Well, yeah, too. I mean, it's like Starcast is meant for like a gigantic money-making audience. Like they're meant to make money, even though I'm not taking away from Barry and Cash Money Pins there, who right. I'm sure they make their money, but yeah. you're talking to it. It's personal touch in anything. You get more out of than anything else. Like if you get to spend time with these people, and you're spending the money to have dinner with them, a conversation with them, and get to hear shit that you won't normally hear. Yep. That's so much. You'll have such a better experience where it's like, even if you're just meandering in a big fucking convention center, you're not going to have the same experience as, you're dealing with, maybe 50 to 100 people. And instead of like 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 people where it's just like, okay, it's a little bit overwhelming. It's like the personal touch is big.
So
for sure. Go ahead, Frank,
I'm sorry, I was taking care of my dog again. So do you pay one fee to get in, and then you pay, $50 to meet this wrestler and another $25 to meet this wrestler? Is that how it goes?
Yes. So I think if I remember, again, it's been a while. Shit, it's been almost 3 years now. I don't think the fee to get in was that much, but then where you actually have to pay more is like when you're actually meeting, doing like a meet and greet, like I said, with Scott Hall. I want to say it was like $75. It may not have been that much. So it wasn't like it really wasn't like super duper expensive. If there was one thing I didn't like about it, and this is not a knock on Conrad or anybody that does set up events like that, I don't like that many people. Like when I was younger, I would have been totally fine with that. Now, even if my dad's gone now, but even if it was just like me and my kids, I would not enjoy it because there's just too many damn people. There's just too many people. So I think it was just the entry fee was not that bad, but yes, then you pay extra for everybody that you meet. It's not, you're not going to go broke, but it's not super cheap either. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's priced fair, in comparison to what everybody else charges. Again, I'm not counting CWF Fan Fest because I'm not blowing Barry or anything, but that really is like its own separate thing. That's like you can't compare the two. You can't, because it is really two different experiences.
Well, yeah, no, I mean with StarCast, I think it's just they have, if it's a low entry fee, it's just to get you in the door, and then it's a very big impulse buy.
Yes.
So if you see somebody like, holy shit, I wanted to meet this guy the whole time, and I was just walking around, and oh yeah, we'll just do this, and that's where you may. In the business, they call it a loss leader, where it's just like you'll take it in the shorts for the entrance fee, but the boys and everyone else will get paid, for their gimmicks at the table.
Yeah. Like I said, I mean, it was fun. Like, I didn't hate it. It was fun. It's just, it's hard to navigate an old guy in a wheelchair. I took my dad earlier that year. We went to a C2E2, which is like the Chicago Comic Book Convention, blah blah blah. That had 1,000,000,005 people there, but we were there. So my dad and I used to listen to one of Cornette's podcasts. Both of them. I don't remember which one we were fucking listening to, but Cornette was talking about being at C2E2, and he was going to be doing this thing called Have a Beef with Corny. So basically, it was like just I want to call it like a one-man show type thing, where he's just up there like fucking, being Jim Cornette, and the food was catered by Big Al's Beef or Mr. Al's Beef. It's a really big place in Chicago. So we're listening, and my dad's like, so when is that Cornette thing? I'm like, I don't know, March something or other. He's like, okay. And then we're driving some more. And then he, like 10 minutes later, he's like, how much you think it's going to be? I'm like, because my dad won't just say, hey, I want to go. He'll just ask 150 fucking questions. So I'm like, Dad, would you like to fucking go? He's like, well, I don't know, maybe. I'm like, okay. So I get tickets for us to go have a beef with Corny. And then the night before we were going to go, I'm like, you know what? I don't know where the fuck I'm going to park in the city. It's going to be late at night. My dad's in a fucking wheelchair. I'm not walking fucking downtown or wherever. I don't even know if it was downtown, but wherever it was, I'm like, I'm not walking in some strange neighborhood with some fucking old man in a wheelchair. I'm like, Dad, how about we do this? Let's go during the day and we'll just meet him, but we won't have a beef sandwich with him. We can have a beef sandwich by ourselves somewhere else. So we go to fucking C2E2. There's 10 zillion people there. My dad was like really old, so he was kind of like, didn't have dementia, but he was a little like loopy. So he thought that everybody that was at C2E2 was actually there to meet Jim Cornette. He's like, Jim Cornette's gonna make a lot of money. I'm like, Dad, there's probably like 50 people here to meet Cornette, and the other 5,000 people are here to fucking dress up like Spider-Man. That's all they want to do. But we got to meet Cornette, so that was on my bucket list. I'm like, all right, fuck, this is awesome. And then my nephew works for Pro Wrestling Tees. He's like, hey, you want to meet CM Punk? This when Punk had just started to do like conventions. I'm like, yeah, how much is it? He's like, no. He's like, just go to the back of the line. I'm like, all right. So we go to the back of the line, and this guy like waves us down. And they're like, is this Jeremy's grandfather? I'm like, yeah. They're like, okay, you can just go right through. I'm like, oh, okay. So we fucking met CM Punk for free. I'm like, fuck, this is awesome. Jesus Christ. And then we went and met Omega and the Young Bucks. And they were people can say whatever they want about them. I could only base my brief interaction with the three of them. They were very fucking nice. So if people don't like super kicks and high spots, I don't know what the fuck to tell you. They were very nice to my dad and I, so that's all I care about.
Well, the funny thing is, my only Kenny Omega story is seeing him when I went to visit my parents at the Mall of in Minnesota. I went to the Mall of America with my daughter and my sister.
Yeah.
And this is just before Full Gear at the Target Center.
Oh, yeah,
so him and his posse are walking around like they're ready to fucking rumble in the goddamn food court, walking down like they're hot shit. It's like think of a gang posse. It's not like Los Boricuas, but it's damn close.
That's
and
hilarious.
I'm like, he's just bouncing around, just like, okay, what the fuck is this? And he's just walking. And then there's a few AEW fans at the Buffalo Wild Wings were eating at, and they're just like, well, fuck, it's Kenny. I'm just like, I'm waiting for them all to drop their pants and fire a rocket. I'm just like, Jesus Christ.
Sure.
I'm like,
as they should.
well, fuck. Some of them you'd be surprised at. And then going back to CM Punk, I did not know who CM Punk was, but I met him in my autograph session for WrestleMania in Detroit for WrestleMania 23.
Oh, nice.
Legit the nicest fucking dude. There were two people that gave a shit in that. So there were four people. So how it worked was, you buy their travel package for WrestleMania. So I drove, 14 hours from Minneapolis all the way to Detroit overnight with two of my friends. And you get, if you get the high package, you get a ringside ticket, or at least within like the first 10 rows.
Yeah.
And then you get hotel and, tickets to the Hall of Fame, wherever the fuck they put you. And then you get autograph sessions that they personalize for you. So you line up, it's in like a conference room in the hotel, blah, blah, blah. So I happened to get Jeff Hardy, who is fucking goddamn out of his mind, was so like, where the fuck am I? He was just head down, sunglasses. I'm like, dude, either you haven't slept in 6 months or you're fucking on the goddamn, you're on fucking some coke. Like literally, he just looked like he was out of it. Then there's Tori Wilson, who's hot as fuck and was really nice and bubbly. And then Bob Holly, who didn't give 5 shits that I was there.
That's funny.
Fuck, well, it's typical. And then right in the middle of that is CM Punk, who was so excited to meet anybody. He was just like, hey, dude, how you doing? Really great to see you. Thanks for coming out. Really appreciate it. It was like, wow. Fuck, dude, I don't know who the fuck you are, but I will fucking be your fan for life. And that was the coolest thing ever.
That's great.
Yeah, no, that was really cool. But, it's just like stuff like that. I mean, I know people have their, their opinions of CM Punk, but the time I was around him was, I mean, this is before, his big run. Yeah. And
that's awesome.
And that was and to me, and the thing of it is, WrestleMania was so smart, and it has been for like probably the last, I'd say at least 20 years now, where it's like where I wasn't following the product, I had to go to WrestleMania because I was convinced that year was going to be Austin Hogan, and I'm like, okay, this is the dream match, and I'm done after this, and they fucking didn't do it. I'm like, okay, whatever. But
23 was really fucking underrated. 23 was a really good show too.
Yeah, no, I was there. I was there. I think I was like 6th or 7th row. I was elevated above ringside, which was great, so I could see everything.
That's great.
And I didn't have to deal with all the other stupid marks who get up, and I'm like, and I'm not gonna be the guy who's gonna sit the fuck down and then $700 to fucking look at your ass. I'm like, nah. I'm like, it's wrestling. You're supposed to get up. It's not like you're watching on television. You're there to have a good time.
Yeah, exactly. Oh fuck yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that was they had what's it, Shawn against Cena, which was great.
Yeah, no, and the Ultimate Warrior guy coming in before the match, storming the ring was fun.
Was that there or was that on Raw?
No, it was either looked like Davey Boy Smith or it was the Ultimate Warrior because he had tassels on his boots, and it was just before the match started because this was like I go WrestleMania 22 and 23, which I went to both, where Cena just got verbally just butt fucked by the fans because they hated him. Like hearing the uncensored version of the Hall of Fame ceremony in Chicago.
Oh yeah.
That was fucking as loud of we fucking hate you. We hope you die. You fucking suck. Just get the fuck off the stage and we don't want to see you. literally that kind of heat. And then, even though that wasn't the reason, I was there, because I'm like, I don't fucking care. I'm like, I'm here to see Bret Hart, Vern Gagne to go in, and all the other stuff. That's still probably, and the fact I did not cry during the Eddie Guerrero induction at that point still haunts me to this day. I'm like, do I have a fucking soul? Because of how emotional that was.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, and I mean, that was a lot of fun. And then even the next year was good too, with Dusty Rhodes and Jim Ross and Jerry the King Lawler, even though it should have been Lance Russell instead of fucking.
Yeah, well, and Shatner got booed too, didn't he?
Yeah, no. Well, most of the celebrities always did. I mean, fuck, you can go down the list. I mean, I'd say outside of the refrigerator, who big dude who's probably about 5,000 pounds and is probably not eaten a healthy meal in probably 20 years. Right. And he's a Chicago Bear. Everyone marks out for the Chicago Bears in their hometown. So you're not gonna. There's no difference there. It's like he's over. And but no, I mean that's the other thing too. Over time, the WWF Hall of Fame ceremony used to be the poll, and now it's not. It's a joke now, and it's really, really bad. Like,
and now it's like, so Undertaker's going in this year, so that's great.
Yeah,
but it's like they're just about out of people that they could realistically put in that are going to be like, that are deserving of like a top spot. You know what I mean? Like, like Hogan's in there already, Savage, like all these guys are already in there. So who they put in next? So I mean, would next year be The Rock or John Cena? I don't know.
Yeah, no. Well, the thing of it is they started it out great. They put it in a theater. They didn't put it in an arena. Yeah. Then it just became a money-making scheme. So, like, I went to 22, which I scalped the tickets for. I paid a lot of fucking money for that, but it was worth it. Yeah, and then through the travel package from 23, 24, and 25 and 26, I went to all of those.
That's awesome.
I went for 5 straight years, and then after 26, it was 26 in Phoenix. I knew that was at the end because I was like, okay, I want crippled Bret Hart to fucking beat the shit out of Vince McMahon. That was literally the reason I went. Didn't give a fuck about anything else. Even though there was Shawn Taker 2, which to me is not as good as Shawn Taker 1 because. No. And the reason I say that is because I was 5th row in Houston, and the match took me completely by surprise. Where I had seen. We're all jaded wrestling fans. If we've watched wrestling for the last 35 or 40 years, we're jaded fucking fans because we've seen everything. We've seen the ECW spots. We've seen every fucking false finish. We've seen everything that can happen. That's why a lot of us don't really dig modern wrestling because it's like, okay, yeah, you have a move. I saw this like 25 years ago with like 3 other people that did it and did it a lot better and made it look better. That I digress. But at the same time, even the false finishes, and you're watching a match and you see the false finish coming, the crowd's into it a little bit because some of them maybe haven't followed the product or it's just, they're getting into it. And that's fine. Right. But there were 2 or 3 times I'm like, holy fucking shit. Yeah. What the fuck's going on? And it was amazing. It was really amazing. And when it was over, that crowd died faster than fucking,
oh, for sure.
10 people, going in front of cars. I mean, it just died. And they had that triple threat. No, I think it was Orton and Triple H. And it was either that or it was Cena, Big Show, and whoever.
Edge, right?
Yeah, probably. And it just was a popcorn fart.
Yeah, nothing was following that. Hey, let me put you on. I'm going to put you on hold real quick. Frankie can edit this part out. I just got a call from work. Let me call them real quick.
All right, no worries. Yeah, no, tell the award-winning Marianos I need this fucking shit.
Yeah, I'll tell him for sure. Hold on, I'm gonna hang up and I'll call.
Zaucha had to take, a DEFCON 10 call from Mariano's, the award-winning Marianos.com. If you want your grocery needs, God damn it, go to Marianos.com. Cheap plug.
Are we all still here?
Yeah, Chris had to take a call.
Oh.
From Mariano's. I just gave a plug for Marianos.com. I hope the check's in the mail.
Yeah, that'd be the quickest check, huh?
Well, Jesus, I mean, God, sponsor it, baby. Get right. Some of that cash.
Right, money. I'm back. Hold on.
You'll be proud of me, Chris. I plugged the website of Marianos.com, the award-winning Marianos.com. if I get the check and and the sales go up at least a couple percentage points, I'll take a skim off the top.
I'm actually going back to the store because the night crew guys having trouble getting one of the doors closed. I'm like, well, I've been driving around in circles. I mean, because I should have been home a while ago, but I've been on this call, so I just been driving around the neighborhood looking like a fucking creep. So I'm like, I'll just come back. I don't care.
Well, as long as you're not yelling at anybody, I think you're okay.
Yeah, well, there's still time.
But yeah, I mean, fuck. My memories of the 5 WrestleManias I went to were a lot of fun. I mean, I wish I could have did it back in the heyday. Like, I met a bunch of people. I actually met Vladimir at like 25. That was the coolest because that dude had been through it all. I mean, he'd at that point, I think he told me he had been to every single WrestleMania. And then, he had his start at then you started to see him. Like, if you watch any 80s WWF house show, TV, pay-per-view, that fucker's there. And he was just all over the place. Couldn't be a nicer guy. His posse around him was assholes, but no, himself, he'd take a picture with you, he'd talk with you. Really cool guy. Like,
we were like hanging out at one of the hotels waiting for the fucking wrestlers to get little sweaty marks too. And I don't know if you guys ever saw that show, WWE Confidential, and they did a episode or they did a segment with Hulk Hogan's super fan named Chris Sater. And he's
the guy from Detroit, right?
Chicago.
I thought he was from Detroit for whatever reason, because I'd always see the clown who looked kind of like Hogan and looked like the biggest idiot. No. He's mugging for the camera.
No, this guy's the biggest Hogan fan, but he looks nothing like Hogan. He looks like a typical fat wrestling fan.
Okay, it sounds like, because if I remember correctly, it was either, it was Survivor Series 91. I know that they had that guy like on camera the whole time, and then how depressed he was after freaking The Undertaker tombstoned him on the chair that Flair put there, and he's just like, you thought someone shot his dog. And I'm like, he was just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, we met Chris Sater, and he was actually a pretty nice guy. Like, he had like a big Hulk Hogan tattoo, and you could tell he probably didn't kiss anybody at that point in his life, but he was still really nice. And the one wrestler who you hear horror stories about for like his training methods, Bill DeMott, he walks in the hotel and he was really fucking nice. Like, he was like abnormal, a very, very nice guy. I'm like, you're really nice. Holy crap. Charles Robinson was the same way too. Charles Robinson, like, oh wow, thanks a lot, guys. I'm like, dude, you're fucking Charles Robinson. This is awesome.
Yeah, it's like when I met Jack Doan, tearing down the ring at WrestleMania, I think it was 23, because at the end of the show they'd let you go down and then they cut out your chair, because I still have my WrestleMania 23 and 25 chairs.
That's awesome.
And you just went up to him, and I'm like, that's fucking Jack Doan. I know who the fuck Jack Doan is. Now you don't know who any fucking referee is.
No, exactly.
I don't give a shit, but I'm like, this is great. I'm like, hey man, you're awesome. He's like, oh no, hey, thanks for coming out. Took a picture with me. It was really great.
That's cool.
That's the fun part about that. You get to see the guys who 95% of the populace have no fucking clue about. And when you meet them and how down to earth a lot of them are, it's always fun.
Who have you met that's been a dickhead?
No one's really been a dick.
Oh, that's good.
I mean, for the most part, outside of, like I said, Bob Holly and Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy too, I will say that. Like the people, like I met Maria Kanellis. That chick flirted with everyone that went through her line, and she was great. She had a really good personality. Then I remember seeing Maurice and thinking her skin was so leathery you could have ripped it off and made a coat out of it.
Oh, wow.
It's like, Jesus Christ. Because she, in my opinion, she looked totally different than what she does now.
Wow.
But who knows what the fuck, went with that. But,
yeah.
But no, yeah, most everyone, Sonny flirted with me too. That's not shocking. That was somebody at 25. That's when she, got back into shape and started, looking close to, I won't say back in the, mid to late 90s, but, she was getting back on track.
Yeah.
But most of them were, if the ones were bad, they were just standoffish and they weren't like outwardly dicks to you. They're just like, yeah, okay. Will Ospreay kind of gave me shit because I was so freaking exhausted. And I was just like, hey, mate, you having a good time? I'm like, yeah, I'm having a good time. And I'm like, as my fucking eye crusties are like trying to get out of my eye and I'm trying to stay awake. And I'm just like, blah. But no, everyone, from Bret Hart to Kurt Angle to Mick Foley, all those guys were. Bret was amazing. I almost passed out after seeing Bret. I told that on the last episode, so I won't bore people with details again. But that was fun. Meeting Kurt Angle twice was a treat. Like the fact he remembered my name the second time blew my ass away.
That's really impressive.
And I'm like, fuck, dude. And it's the same place, Mall of America. It's a Rotunda. So I'm like, okay, which was really neat.
That's amazing.
But, yeah. So, I still think I have his VHS. It's true. Somewhere,
that's cool.
Autographed and personalized. So that which was really nice.
That's amazing. That's so fun. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah. No, Mick Foley was really nice. The first time I met him, he had a nasty cold, so he wasn't shaking hands, which I understood. And then I met him for his one-man show in Petaluma, which is about an hour and 20 minutes north of me.
Wow.
So it's just outside the Bay Area. So,
yeah.
And it was in this nice theater. And then this was I believe it was the Cell tour where literally he had 8x10s of the venue and he just signed them. So I think you spent like $10 on the picture. He would sign it for you, stuff like that. And then you went and got to meet him after the show. So you just had a line going in and out, which was really nice. So, but Mick was nothing but a gentleman. Really nice guy.
When I was at FanFest, I'm not going to say who this was in case Bret Hart hears this and goes to beat the guy up, but one of the guys that was at FanFest, he's like a gigantic Bret Hart fan. And I think he said he met Bret Hart like 3 or 4 times, and he said Bret Hart was an absolute complete dickhead. And I could not believe it. Now, I met Bret Hart one time. This is right after he got in the WWE Hall of Fame. I saw him at like some local show in Chicago Ridge or something. I don't know. It was fucking far away. I waited in line for like 2.5 hours. I'm like, I'm a fucking loser, but okay. So I get up to Bret Hart and I have him sign like action figure, which I've lost. I don't know where the fuck it is. And I had him sign his Bret Hart magazine, which I've also fucking lost. And he signs it, and I shake his hand. I go, it is such an honor to meet you. Thank you. He's like, thank you. I'm like, fuck yeah, Bret Hart. This is awesome. I was like, that he's probably like I met Nash too, but I think Bret is probably the biggest star that I've met as far as just like overall notoriety and professional wrestling. I think Bret would be the biggest one I've met so far. And he was, like I said, there's a zillion people there. I didn't have time to sit there and fucking talk about his match against Mr. Perfect. So it was just like,
yeah.
But he was cordial,
Yeah, no.
I've heard that about him where he's just.
That was probably around the time his book came out, because I know he traveled a lot, and that was like late 06. That book is amazing. If you If you've never read that is a top 5 wrestling.
I've read it probably 500 times. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, really, really good book. You can't put it down. It's just that good. And it's like a 700 page book. I mean, this isn't.
No,
it's not a Zapruder film of his career, but it goes into detail, and it doesn't go all the way through. I think it goes all the way up to, I think, his stroke, and then that was it. I don't think it. I think that's kind of where it ended. But that was a great book. Really, really good.
It's real good, and I think, when I hear that Bret Hart's a dick or whatever, I think it just proves like anybody can have a bad day. Somebody posted, I think it was in the Mothership. I don't fucking remember. They tend to be miserable in there anyways. But anyways,
the motherfucker, as Jim Cornette coined it. I think it was like probably like Brian Last just been his co-host for probably like 6 months at that point, and he goes, "The motherfucker!" Just pissing myself laughing because stupid shit like that'll pop me.
That's great. Somebody said they met Ricky Steamboat, and Steamboat was a dick. And I'm like, okay, you know what? That just means that anybody has a bad day, because Ricky Steamboat always seems to be like a very, very fucking nice guy. Like, we met him at like some minor league baseball game, and they had told us, first of all, an autograph from Ricky Steamboat, like if you bring him something aside, was $3. And this was like 6 years ago. So it's not like it was like a million years ago. It was 6 fucking years ago. So we're waiting in line, and they're like, you could take a picture, but we're not going to take it for you. You have to take like selfie style. You have to do it really quick. And I'm like, all right, well, whatever. So I had both my kids with me. I had River go meet Mick Foley, because Mick Foley was there too. I'm like, all right, you go meet Mick Foley. And then I had my son meet Ricky Steamboat, because it's like, I don't want to be having them wait in line and, to watch their fucking middle-aged father go through like, Ricky Steamboat. So I go to my son. I'm like, all right, you go fucking meet Ricky Steamboat. So he goes up to Steamboat. Steamboat signs his DVD for him. Steamboat looks at me. He's like, you want a picture? I'm like, yeah, you're Ricky Steamboat. So he like actually posed for a picture with my kid. I'm like, fuck, this guy's awesome. And I will tell you that Ricky Steamboat, I don't know how old he is right now, but man, is he in shape. My God. He looks great. Even today, he looks fantastic.
Yeah, no, well, I think he's one of the guys who always stayed in shape. I mean, good God. I mean, he, like, I will ask this question. Okay, there are 3 themes of Ricky Steamboat. There is obviously the Alan Parsons Project. There's Sirius, which, or as sports fans will say, the Chicago Bulls entrance theme.
Absolutely.
And then there's, the Family Man one, not so much. And then there's I believe it was the one where it's like da-da-da, which is actually really fucking good, underrated as hell. I mean, but which one would be your quintessential Ricky Steamboat entrance?
Oh, Sirius for sure. Oh yeah, Sirius followed by the da-da-da. That was really good too. But Sirius is the best by far.
Oh, sure. Fuck yes. I mean, it's just like, when you watch WrestleMania 3 and how the crowd blows after he beats Savage, and you just hear that song, and it's just like, fuck. It's over. Just, God damn it. It's the greatest thing ever.
He is probably, Steamboat's probably creeped into my top 10 favorites of all time. Like, I've always liked him. But, like, I go back and watch his stuff now. Not even the Flair stuff. Just him against anybody. And I'm like, fuck, this guy's really good.
Steamboat is timeless. Really, yeah. I mean, you can't get any better than Ricky Steamboat. I mean, even when you didn't think about work rate, you just knew that guy was solid.
Yeah, he was always really good. And, Mike's skills weren't fantastic, but that's fine. It's like, okay, he doesn't have to have great mic skills, because he does his talking in the ring. That sounds so cheesy, but it's true. I think the same thing about, like, Beautiful Bobby. Beautiful Bobby could fucking do anything, except he wasn't necessarily great on the stick. But again, if you have Jim Cornette as a manager, you don't need to say shit. You know what I mean?
Pretty much. Well, he's a corny promo. I mean, good God, at this point. And beginning, middle, and end. It's it's Cornette, man.
Yeah,
you cannot be not entertained by the man.
No, he's great. He is my favorite wrestling personality in the non-wrestler category by far. He is my favorite by far. He is the fucking man. I would put Ventura up there too, not as a wrestler, but as a color commentator. Jesse, in my opinion, the best color commentator in the history of wrestling. Heenan was great.
Yeah, Jesse had his run. I mean, that's the thing too. It's like he had that 5-year run, and then he went to WCW, and then him and Ross were not great, and I don't think they got along in general.
Right.
And him and Shivani were. I wasn't as big. A lot of people say him and Shivani were like, goddamn, the second coming, and I'm like, you're okay. I'm like, Jesse and Gorilla are there, and and the funny thing is everyone shits on Monsoon, and I'm like, no, Gorilla Monsoon served its purpose.
No, he was great.
Credibility to it. Yes, he had his faux pas, but Gorilla Monsoon, goddamn it, was the voice of your WWF from like 1984 to like 1993 or 92, and just him and Heenan are timeless. Him and Jesse are timeless. Vince and Jesse are good too. I mean,
Jesse were good too. Yeah, no, Jesse was great with everybody. All right, hey, pause this for a second. What's your name, Francis? I gotta put some gas in my car. So entertain yourselves for a minute. I won't be long. I was gonna put like $10 in, just so I can get home sometime.
The broken kayfabe gas break brought to you by Valero. I think you're muted, Frankie.
You are correct.
You know what? It's the pandemic special, as I like to call it. There has not been one person that has even been on a video call that has not left themselves on mute and talked, a couple sentences. And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, I'll either do this where I'll tap my ear. I'll be like, can't hear you. That's usually one, or it's like, or their mic's on. It's like, hey, we can't hear you, man. Unmute yourself, stuff like that. So everyone's done it at this point.
Well, I muted it because my dog has just been a mess. He's not well.
He was having problems last night, right?
Yeah. So he hears me, and he's got the separation anxiety real bad, and then he gets restless at night. He doesn't. They said when they go blind, they don't know the difference between day and night. So he'll think that it's day and he should be up, and then he'll try and sleep all day. So he hears me out here and he wants to come and be with me, but he's on the bed. He can't jump off the bed. So he's just a mess.
Yeah, no, my wife actually watched St. Bernard in Los Gatos, and he had to be on doggy Xanax because he had such bad separation anxiety, and it'd be in the summertime. So he has this big coat of fur, and it would get so hot, he'd walk like 30 feet and plop down, and we're moving that goddamn dog. Like, I'm too fucking hot. I ain't sitting here. You ain't moving my ass. So I'm just sitting here. I'm having a great old time.
Well, I went out on the porch to get mail and stuff today, and then I came back in. He didn't see me come back in, and so he was over at the front door whining because he thought I was outside, but really I was just on the other side of the room. And I was like, "Hey, bud, I'm over here. Come on." And he was like, "Oh, okay." And then he walked over toward me, and he was all cool.
Chris, did you fill up at a Love's, Valero, or Chevron?
You know what? I'm going to tell you, fucking gassing prices are a little too high. So I don't know who I fucking need to kick in the balls for this bullshit. It's like fucking $4.09 a gallon. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
I'm at $5.09 up here. I'm at $5.09 by me, and then there are other places that are like $5.29 and $5.39, and then there's the outskirts ones where if you're going towards Southern California, where it's like the only gas station, it's probably $6 or $7 a gallon.
You know what? When I fucking first started driving, it was a fucking $1 a gallon. So this is some bullshit. I'm gonna kick fucking balls.
Start pumping oil at at Ches Zaha, and you can get your retirement money and tell Shannon we're taking over the fucking world.
Yeah, we may have to. I may not have a choice. You don't live by Sweet Lou by any chance, do you? I don't know anything in fucking California.
Sweet Lou is probably I think he's in San Francisco, so he's north of me by about an hour.
Oh.
Ariel, I think is in San Jose.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, yeah. So he's south of me. I'm in Santa Clara right now, but I live in Palo Alto, so that's about 15 minutes north. So I'm smack dab in the middle of Silicon Valley, and then I'm technically right now I'm in the South Bay. So you go probably, I'd say, Sunnyvale on south is the South Bay, and then when you're in you're in Palo Alto, Mountain View, like Redwood City, you're like in the middle of everything else, and then you're going towards the North Bay. I'd say even San Carlos and San Mateo to an extent, and then North Bay is like South San Francisco, Marin, stuff like that. So.
Yeah, see, I didn't even know that you lived in. I never pay attention to like where anybody lives, so I didn't even know you lived in California. I'm like, what the fuck is this guy talking about?
I lived in the Midwest for 30 years, so I grew up just like you did for the most part. I mean, it's just like grew up in Minnesota, for 30 years, nice. And had I know what Four Seasons is like. I know what all the other bullshit you deal with when it comes to stuff like that. Now I've been out here for almost 10 years now.
Oh, nice.
So, I go back occasionally. I don't go back as much as I used to, but I do like it for the anonymity and not having to deal with so many fucking people on a daily basis. 5 lanes of traffic gets old after a while. It's just part of life.
All right, put me on hold for a second.
I love that this episode is just sort of him driving around. It's like,
isn't that his life in a nutshell? I mean, to me, it just starts and stops like a car wreck. I mean, it's just like it fucking goes, it roars, it suddenly stops, and then it roars back. That's just the way it is. It's Chris in a nutshell.
Well, what was that show that used to be on like HBO? Was it Taxi Cab Confessions?
Oh yes, no, there was that. Fuck.
Yeah, well, that sort of reminds me of, the old drive around and talk. That's what he's got going on there.
Well, at least it's not Cash Cab where he has people in the back and he's giving them money. Have all the lights on top of the freaking top of the car and him just going nuts. He'd be like, tell me who, the 4th AWA champion was. And he'd give them $50 if they fucking got it right.
Oh, well, that show, Taxi Cab Confessions, ran from 95 to 2006 on HBO.
That fucking long? I didn't think it was that long. Jesus. That's another funny thing, too. It's when you remember shows and then they went on way longer than you thought they did. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, yeah, I swear it only went for 4 years, and then you find out, oh yeah, there was like 5 other seasons that went for another 6 years. I'm like, where the fuck was I? Or I just, like most things, you get disinterested and you're like, the payoff wasn't that, or I just didn't like how this character or the character gets recast. You're like, I'm fucking done with this.
Yeah, they recorded in Vegas and New York City, 2 great locations.
Oh, it's people watching again. You're right. Back?
I'm back. Yeah, sorry. So he got the door fixed, so now I can.
Look at it. This is fucking podcast gold right here. They fixed the goddamn door.
Look at Frankie. Frankie, if you fucking cracked one smile, Jesus Christ.
I've popped him a few times. It's just like, but hey, when it's 12:35 in the morning, fuck, I'd look like that too.
Yeah, I got real happy when I thought you guys were wrapping up. Hey, Chris, I got to ask you. So last night when we were talking and you ditched us, I had everybody go and say, something that they've learned, kind of like a hack from their job. And like me with real estate, I said you don't have to pay 6% commission to sell your house. What is something that you have learned as a hack, or in terms of prices or whatever, with the grocery business?
So I've learned that if you have a fan that ices over in the freezer, you can just get a cup of scalding hot water and pour it on there, and it'll melt, and then the fan will start going again. But the problem is you're dumping water into a freezer, so it will eventually freeze again. Looking for a quick fix, you just need scalding hot water, and you dump it on the fan, and then your fan will run again, and everything will be fine. That's one hack that I've learned. I've learned many hacks in my career as a retailer for the past almost 31 years.
Well, fuck. I mean, it's better than paying the technician $200 an hour.
Yeah, exactly. Because I'm terrible with like fucking handyman shit. Shannon can confirm that I'm not a handyman at all, but I can get a fan to de-ice by dumping hot water on it.
Well, I'm pretty sure if we ever had Shannon on the podcast, we would get all the gimmicks that she hates, that she detests about living with you, because sainthood will be ready for that woman.
Well, you know what? We'll be like sitting down to eat dinner, and I'm like, "Do you remember?" And I ask her dumb questions, knowing that she does not answer. But I'm like, "Do you remember when One Man Gang won the title by forfeit against Terry Gordy in UWF?" And she's like, "No." I'm like, "Well, what the fuck? How do you not know that?" Like,
I thought that was built into your wedding vows. It'd be like, do you not know the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th, and 8th AWA champion? If you don't, we're done.
And the funny thing, like, she knows all these people just from being married to me. Like, I don't know if you guys remember, but Greg Gagne's daughter, do you remember her getting busted a few years back for like sleeping with an underage student? Did you guys hear about that?
No. I would have thought I would have heard about this.
Yeah, she was messing around with an underage student. And I told Shannon, I'm like, you're not gonna believe this, but she doesn't know Greg Gagne, but she knows the name Vern Gagne. And I'm like, Vern Gagne's granddaughter got busted for blah blah blah. And she's like, Vern Gagne, you're kidding? And she meant it too. She's like, really? I'm like, yeah. Well, how the fuck do you know who Vern Gagne is?
Well, isn't that why Vern did the hip toss to the old guy in the old folks home when he found out about that?
Absolutely. He's like, this is bullshit. I'm going to have to fucking kill somebody now.
Oh, fucking Vern. Invalid Vern at that point, where he still would kick people's asses, but he didn't know where the hell he was, so he's probably pissing himself every 5 minutes.
Did you grow up an AWA guy or no?
That was the first wrestling I did watch, but I caught it. I was too young. I wish I did. Okay. I mean, the most AWA I got to watch was the classic stuff they did in the 90s that they put on pay-per-view. And then they decided to play it on KMSP Channel 9 in the Twin Cities. They do it on Saturday mornings. So I think they did one on Jesse because he just won the governorship. And then they did Mad Dog Vachon. They did the Crusher. I think they did Nick Bockwinkel and Gene Okerlund and stuff like that. So, but my older brother did watch a fair amount of AWA, and because my first show wasn't until 2000. I didn't go to a house show until I stepped back. The first show I went to was Monday Nitro in 1998. No, it was 97. It was when Flair came back and ran perfect out of the building, and then he had his at that point the prototypical coked out promo where I'd always say Flair get dipped into the coke bin, and he was just out of his mind at every interview. And I think that was the same night that John Randall, Kirby Puckett were there with Mayor Cheryl Sales Belton, who was who I think she made I think about 3 or 4 wrestling appearances on television. It was always funny to me. because there'd always be a Vikings player like or some other local celebrity that would show up. But no, sadly I did not. I wish I would have seen more, but I was too young. I mean, the only memory that sticks out to me is Jerry Blackwell going off the top rope on the double ring battle royal.
Oh, nice.
And, just going crazy. As my brother said, Jerry Fat Ass Blackwell coming off the top rope. And then always remembering the Mad Dog promo where he goes, Fatwell! Fatwell! I'm going to build a pine box and, stuff like that, which is fucking hilarious, looking back.
So when I first started watching in 79, the only wrestling I knew was AWA because that's the only one I was aware of. We didn't have cable, so I just watched AWA on Channel 44. I didn't know there was any other wrestlers. I didn't know anything. I just assumed this is wrestling. And then we got cable, and we found Georgia Championship Wrestling on Channel 17, and I see Tommy Rich and Ted DiBiase and the Road Warriors. I'm like, what the fuck? Who the fuck are all these guys? And then I found WWF on USA, and I see Jimmy Snuka and Bob Backlund, Sergeant Slaughter, and all these guys. I'm like, wow, there's a lot of fucking wrestling. And I hadn't even scratched the surface at that point. I saw World Class a little bit later, but like I saw Mid-South later, all these promotions. I'm like, god damn, there's a lot of fucking wrestling. This is great. Now I can't even sit through like a 3-hour Raw. Not necessarily because of, and here's the thing, like, if I had nothing but time, I would probably watch Raw, but I don't. It's like I don't have time to watch a fucking 3-hour wrestling show every Monday. That's a lot of goddamn wrestling.
I just don't know how, even though if you look through time, most of the programming evens out as far as time.
Yeah.
But, I mean, even back in what I would say my heyday would be like the Attitude Era and then a little bit more. And then even early 90s to mid 90s WWF, which was mostly Monday Night Raw and pay-per-views. I was never an average superstar and challenge watcher. It was Monday Night Raw and fucking a pay-per-view, which would most likely be at a friend's house. You chip in a little money. Those are the days I miss, where it was like you get like 2 or 3 pizzas, you get some fucking 2 liter of soda, and you'd fucking just go. You just have a great time on a Sunday night and watch a pay-per-view, and you get together with your friends. That to me is, I miss that a lot. Which that's like the camaraderie you always had. It's like I get so jealous of all these, like John McAdam and Barry and Jeff, where they got to either go to the events or they were watching them live as they occurred, and they're around a group of friends, and I'm just like, fuck, dude, that'd be so fun.
Yeah. Oh, fuck yeah, absolutely. And we went to a Nitro in '97. Probably like 5 or 6. I can't remember. It was like 5 or 6 of us. And it was when the NWO was red hot, and Rodman had joined the NWO, and we're in the United Center, fucking home of the Chicago Bulls and Dennis Rodman. And fucking Dennis Rodman comes out with Hogan, and they jump Luger and the Giant, and people start booing Dennis Rodman. I'm like, holy fuck. And they're throwing beer and shit in the ring. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, we're gonna get fucking killed here.
Well, they're bitter because Lex Luger, his gimmick hometown, it's the Chicago, Illinois.
Yeah, but I remember that. That's right. That was a gimmick hometown. So people were, he was a hometown guy too.
Fuck you! Don't beat up the total package. I'm gonna get pissed at you.
Fucking Luger was, man. People can say whatever they want about fucking Lex Luger and his work rate. Like everybody gives a shit. Luger was fucking over like Rover back then, man. I mean, he was fucking over.
Yeah, if you would have been on last night, we were talking a little bit about Luger, where Travis had brought up where he marked out huge for when he went on the Intrepid and slammed Yokozuna in 1993.
Yeah, me too. That was fucking awesome. That was fantastic. Luger's a fucking man, dude. I love Luger. And when he did that, again, I was always a big WCW guy. So when Luger slammed Yokozuna, to me that was almost say, see, I told you WCW was better. As dumb as that sounds, that was like my rationale. I'm like, see, now he's gonna be the fucking top guy, and that I blame all that on Vince for not putting the belt on him. And I don't know what made him change his mind. I don't know if Luger just had like a shitty attitude and maybe he thought like, yeah, maybe this isn't the right guy to put on top. But it's like, well, you should have fucking known that before you made that decision. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it was more Vince didn't want to go for a muscled up guy again because he had so much with Hogan and, to an extent, the Warrior, which was a very, very small sample size, where I think he had seen what Brett had done and he wanted like a change, like a total opposite of what he made his money on. And I mean, ultimately, for his business, if you look from when Brett lost the title to getting it back, was the right decision to make. It's just it emasculated Luger, and he pretty much after WrestleMania 10, outside of the Tatanka feud, which he pretty much went off into obscurity, and then and when he came back at the first Nitro, that kind of reinvigorated him, and then he had another upward spike of being, he's Sting's friend, but he's kind of a tweener.
Right.
And him beating Hogan at the Nitro and when that 5-day title reign.
Yeah, that was that Luger 96-97 was really good. And why I still cannot wrap my head around the fact that they put the belt on him. And obviously you saw how the fans reacted. I mean, they were ready to fucking riot. And then they put the belt right on Hogan. I'm like, you couldn't have waited until fucking Halloween Havoc or something. You couldn't have let him have it for like a month.
You need to have the bikers get excited in Sturgis, for a title change.
Yeah. That's just a bunch of fucking non-wrestling drunk losers on motorcycles revving their engine like a fucking Marks. I'll kill those fuckers.
So Chris, are you more of a United Center guy or an old Chicago Stadium guy?
Never been to Chicago Stadium.
Okay, all right. So I will take back that question because it's like I've always heard that Chicago Stadium was great, and then I've been to the United Center. I've been to a few concerts there, so I've driven down there and been there. So.
I like United. It's nice. I mean, the Bulls game I went to in December. That's the first Bulls game I've ever been to ever. So, because I haven't followed basketball like 50 years.
They're undefeated still, right?
They are undefeated. I just got off the phone with the commissioner, and they've actually he gave them another win just because they were trying so hard. If the Bulls get to the play past like the first series, I'm more than happy with that. Because like I said, I haven't watched in forever. I didn't see Derrick Rose, and he was fucking great. I wish I had kept watching. I stopped watching in '98 after the end of the second three-peat. When I knew that they were breaking the team up, I'm like, I'm not gonna fucking watch this shit anymore. And I wish I had just stuck with it because I probably would have continued to like it.
Well, the Jordan years, fuck. I just when I watched The Last Dance, and then I remember seeing game footage, I'm just like, holy shit, how cool this was. Even though I was not a Jordan fan, I was a Nick fan.
Yeah.
I was bitter because I loved Patrick Ewing. So I was a tall, lanky fuck, and I couldn't play for shit, but I would do the fadeaway jumper and be like, yeah, I'm fucking somebody, and I'm like, no, I fucking really suck, and that's okay. I'm comfortable enough to say that, but those Nick Bull series were fucking fantastic.
So I did not speak like I would always play basketball games on like Genesis and stuff, but I didn't actually become a fan of the Bulls until the year Jordan retired, the year after he retired. So the first season without him is when I became a fan. So it's like I picked a really weird time to start watching. So it was like when Scottie Pippen was the top guy, and he had Kukoc, and they still had a good team. And when they fucking got eliminated by the Knicks in the fucking conference finals, I've never felt heartbreak like that before, and maybe not since. And I'm like, fuck, this is what watching sports is like. I was so fucking sad. And when Pippen dunked on Ewing, I think it was game 6, maybe game 7. I think it was game 6. That's one of my favorite moments in the history of fucking anything. That was phenomenal. And I like Patrick Ewing too, but watching Pippen dunk on him was fucking fantastic. And I fucking hated the Knicks for like 100 years until Ewing. I think Ewing got COVID. Patrick Ewing got COVID in like 2020, I think. And after that, I finally forgave him. And I tweeted at him, I'm like, listen, I've been mad at you for 26 years, but you are a very good player. I'm sorry. Now, not surprised.
I can just see Patrick Ewing being like, some goddamn asshole in fucking suburban Chicago is already giving me is waving the white flag, so my life is going to be complete.
He's like, I feel better already. Ewing was fucking awesome. Like, he was great. That was a great team. The Knicks were a great team. You can't.
Yeah, no, they were. And to me, they ran into two buzzsaws: the Bulls and the mid-90s Houston Rockets.
The Rockets, yeah. And that I didn't. So after '98, I didn't watch basketball, and then during COVID, when COVID was still like the fucking fresh new toy, that's when that Last Dance documentary came out, and I watched everything. I'm like, fuck, I remember all this stuff. My God, I'm like, this was so amazing. And that's when I'm like, when it was done, I'm like, I'm gonna watch basketball again. I don't care if the Bulls fucking suck. I'm gonna watch it, and I am a diehard fan, and that I'm done. I will never not be a Bulls fan again. And they've been good this year, so I was like, oh fuck, I picked a good year to start watching because they're actually fucking winning. And even if they were losing, I'd still watch. Like, okay, you know what? I'm a diehard fan now, damn it. And plus, they're undefeated, so what the fuck?
Well, let's circle back to Luger.
Let's talk about wrestling.
Yeah. No, fuck. I could tell you all about the heartbreak of the Vikings and probably be here for another 6 hours while Frankie will be slumped in the fucking corner and be like, God damn it, these two bastards
you guys still talking?
have logged more hours on my little podcast than fucking my wife, my family, Jeff Bowdren, Barry Rose, whoever the fuck I put on this show, and it's just, we're just letting them go. Like, it's like I said before we got on the call, this is bonus content. You can't pay for this fucking shit.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Frankie, are you awake? Okay, yeah, he is.
You think it's his weekend at Bernie's?
I swear to God, I thought you fell asleep. Do you need us to wrap it up? Do you need to go to bed?
Probably we hit about the 2 hour mark. That'd probably be good. You got about 10 more minutes.
We can vamp.
I'm entertaining myself with politics on Twitter. That's how much you guys are boring me with this shit. So
Jesus, politics on Twitter. My God, that's like, if you want to get yourself angry or depressed, all in the same thought, do that, because it is the human fucking cesspool.
As bad as Facebook is. For and I'm just going to speak strictly about fucking wrestling. As bad as some of these fucking fans are, they're fucking insufferable on Twitter. It's fucking terrible.
Well, I've never had a Twitter account. I never will have a Twitter account because it's like Facebook is like the only. That's as far as I'm going to go. After that, I need human contact.
Twitter's fine, but like I mean, just the way these fans, alleged fans, talk about just the sheer joy they get out of like AEW failing or whatever. It's like, what the fuck? So what I find is sometimes fans try to put like a promoter's hat on and like, oh, well, they're not going to draw with this kind of thing. It's like, well, what the fuck do you care? What do you care if they draw or not? Do you work for them? What the hell do you care? I look at it like AEW put fucking Tully Blanchard on TV last year and had him wrestle. They're fucking fine by me. They could do no fucking wrong. They had Sting fucking hit. I think Sting knocked Tully off the apron a few weeks ago. I'm like, dude, this fucking rule. So I mean, Tony Khan is just like us because he grew up with the same bullshit we did. He's a fucking Attitude Era fucking mark, and I think he's probably an old Crockett mark because he keeps using all the guys from Jay Crockett Promotions.
Yeah, he's a Mid-Atlantic guy, so he'll run as long as he's got money, and to me, the only problem he's going to run into is to grow his audience enough to where it's not a niche product,
Right.
It needs to go. Yeah, he's getting over 1 million people, but I mean, it's like I hate to say this, it's like being so hypercritical, and I'd be like an Uber fan or like fanboying out over wrestling has kind of destroyed a lot of that, where it's so uber niche. It's like where and I don't want to be old man yelling at cloud, because that's not my purpose to fucking flap my gums on a podcast.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like you're having a bunch of the same people get excited over the same shit over and over and over again, and then you're maybe getting another 100,000 to 150,000 people every week, give or take. You're losing or you're gaining depending on who the fuck is there, whether it's the Bucks and Omega, it's CM Punk, Bryan Danielson, Adam Page, Adam Cole, whatever the fuck. It's just like they have lost the ability to get newer people invested in something now, because it's like I don't want to see the wrestling business regress to a point to where it's like, okay, the biggest fucking wrestling promotion outside of the WWF, because I refuse to call them WWE. Fuck them. Like, it's WWF. It'll be WWF forever. They can fucking sue my ass. Right. I don't give a shit. And literally, at some point, something's going to have to grow, and it's going to have to be organic. I mean, to me, it's like there's lots of options now. I mean, streaming has done that, but I really, really hope that it explodes in a good way, to where it's like they bring back the casual fan. It doesn't need to be all gaga, but it's like as much as we want, our perfect blow off to a feud, I would rather bring in, people that will, bring the sport and just the overall presentation up a few notches, to where it can survive another generation. Because at the current rate, man, if they blow it out, it may, there will be some semblance of it, but do we just want indies at this point? I don't think so. I don't think anybody want that.
I think we have enough shitty indies, but I do appreciate Jeff and Barry, saying positive things about AEW, this past week, because there's just way too many. Oh, I miss the old days and whatever. Well, you know what? The old days are gone. They're never coming back. There will never be a match with a bunch of rest holds, because guess what? We've changed. We've evolved. We don't want to see that bullshit. You know what? Contrary to popular belief, we want to see flippy shit. That's why people do it. Could they do less and it would mean more? Absolutely. But nobody wants to see Johnny Valentine do armbar, headlock, and work a crowd for 30 minutes. Nobody wants to see that.
Yep, I agree. I think what pissed me off about alleged, and I keep saying alleged wrestling fans because they don't act like fans, was before AEW was even the thing, when they first announced All In, which was right here. A bunch of alleged fans were like, "Oh, this is fucking stupid," and I'm like, "You know what, motherfucker?" Or no, I take it back. No, it was when they announced AEW, so it was after Double or Nothing. What the fuck it was called? I don't fucking know. And it was like, fuck it, it's gonna be dumb. I'm like, you know what, you fucking guys, my fucking dad, who fucking watched Luthez, and I'm not saying he fucking watched a video of Luthez. He fucking actually watched fucking Luthez wrestle. He's fucking excited for AEW. So you guys are fucking 80 years younger than my father is. So stop with the fucking old man yelling in a cloud shit. Because there's nothing more annoying than like a 35-year-old going, "Hey, back in my day." I'm like, fuck you. You're like a kid. The hell are you talking about? And it's like, listen, Portland ain't coming back. Bill Watts ain't fucking coming out of retirement. This is what we have. So you can either bitch about WWE like you have been for the past 30 fucking years, or just stop watching. You know what I mean? Like, I don't watch baseball, but I don't fucking walk around going, "Hey, the fucking White Sox." Or a bunch of jerk-offs. It's like, they don't watch it. I don't want to fucking hear your opinion of something you allegedly don't watch, yet you seem to know everything they're doing. So somebody's telling you something, or you're fucking watching.
Well, you know, back in the Monday Night Wars when it was all hot, the best matches on Monday night were the luchadors, right? That's what you've got now. You've got all luchador matches. So really, everybody should be happy that somebody is competing with the WWE and going against the machine that's been going for 60, 70, 80 years, whatever, however long that they're going, and right. they should be happy. I mean, look, TNA did it for however long and failed. And now you still have Impact, who has one product. You have a different product with AEW, and now you've got Tony Khan just buying Ring of Honor, which sets up a whole nother thing where you could have two different completely different shows.
Yep.
Well, also too, it's like, and to go back to the reason we got on this call, it's like when you're a fan and you've watched for so long, and like I think Chris and I talked about this, before we got on too, between our exchanges, was like our appreciation for mid-90s wrestling, which a lot gets shit on, where it's like, oh, this is an abortion because it came out of the big 80s boom. But when you look at it, you look at years like 93, 94, 95. 95 is very lean for pretty much every promotion. I'd say probably outside of ECW. But when you watched it and you were committed to watching it and like really, really wanting to watch it and finding something good, where it's just like, it's an abusive relationship. It's like, you're going to run into a bunch of bullshit, but you're going to stick it out because you're going to find something you will like. And I think a lot of that happens today too, where it's like, yes, there is a lot of content, but if you dig through the content, because I mean, me personally, I'm a completist. I want the shit. I want the good stuff. I want everything that comes with it. I mean, because to me, it's like, that's the whole package. You don't want to just piecemeal it. I mean, I know a lot of people like comp tapes and stuff. It was never me. I always wanted to see a card from the beginning, middle, and end, and in its entirety, and uncut, uncensored, because you get the feel of how it was. And to me, it's just like, and that's, and it is very true. Being a wrestling fan is like, you have to put up with so much BS in order to get to the good stuff.
Yeah. And that's, and when people talk about, and this pisses me off too. See, I'm not going to rant too long, Frankie, because I know you're getting tired now, but when people like fucking bitch about like mid 90s WWF, and like, oh, you got TL Hopper and the Goon. It's like, they were on TV for like 4 minutes a week, motherfucker. Just stop. Because there was plenty of other shit that was good. So fuck off with your TL Hopper shit. It's like, okay, yeah, this is dumb, but I got to see Owen Hart against Shawn Michaels, so I guess I did okay. You know what I mean? It's like they just pick out shit that suck. Like, oh, we had shit like that. It's like, yeah, it didn't last that long, so stop it. These fucking smart. I just want to kick him in the fucking balls. It's like, do you remember why you became a fan to begin with? That's the problem. Is they became fans and then they became smart fans. Like, oh, if I was a booker, it's like, well, yeah, but you're not the fucking booker. You work at a grocery store. So why don't you fucking shut the fuck up? You know what
I mean? No, you didn't get the Yeti dry humping, a prone Hulk Hogan, in Halloween Havoc at Cobo Hall.
Right. Yeah. You know what? The funny thing is, I actually like that pay-per-view because I like this Flair heel turn. I like the fact that Luger turned heel at the end. I did not like the fucking mummy humping Hogan. It
was the Yeti in his and then God damn. The Dungeon of Doom. I mean, that's a whole other podcast in general, where it's just like the cast of fucking merry assholes in that faction is just, there's so much goodness and it's so bad it's good. That's literally it.
That's the thing, is like, if you take those guys individually, like Kamala was still fine, Earthquake was fine, or Avalanche, whatever the fuck it was called. Avalanche was fine, Haku was fine, Barbarian was fine. I think Barbarian was in the Dungeon of Doom. I think Hugh Morris might have been in this too.
That was later on, yeah.
Okay, but the guys they individually, they were fine. The gimmick was dumb.
They had to make Hogan look good, because Hogan, that's who Hogan could do. I mean, look at Vader. He fought Vader. Vader beat the piss out of him, and then look how long that lasted. Things like that.
See, I was still such a mark then that like when Hogan first got there, when Hogan first won the title, my first thought is, all right, he's gonna feud with Austin next. So I've always been a fucking Mizark. I was like, looking back, it's like he was never gonna fucking work with Steve Austin. But I was thinking like, oh fuck yeah, we're gonna get Hulk Hogan against Stunning Steve. Well, that never fucking happened. But damn it, I hoped it did.
Well, going back to what you're talking about when you said Steve Austin was going to be a star and he never signed the USWA stuff. Did you ever see his Come As You Are match with Chris Adams from USWA, which is some of the funniest shit ever, where Austin comes down in shoulder pads and helmet and fucking Chris Adams is beating the shit out of him with a kendo stick. If you can search it out, I think way back in the RF video days where they had a kiosk at the Mall of America, and this is like 98. I'd get a lot of shit from them.
Yeah, me too.
And they had a comp. The only one of there were two comp tapes I only ever owned. There was that one and the Cactus Jack from Japan.
Oh, okay, nice.
Which was, opened my eyes to a bunch of other stuff. But one of the matches was that in USWA. It was like 1989, maybe early 90. Yeah. It's fucking hilarious.
August the 3rd, 1990.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Yeah. You'll have a good belly laugh over it because it's just like, it's ridiculous, but it's that good ridiculous where it's just like, you're like, yeah, this is fucking what I want.
I spent a lot of at the kiosk Gurney Mill, and I spent a lot of money at RF Video before we found out, the RF had some issues. But yeah, that's like when I bought like my first shoot interview with Big Van Vader, and I had never seen like a legitimate shoot interview because I didn't know what a shoot interview was. I was like, what does shoot mean? Because I didn't subscribe to the Observer or any of that shit, so I didn't know what. I knew that obviously I knew wrestling had a predetermined outcome, but I didn't know any of the lingo. So when I get this Vader shoot interview and he's just sitting in his house fucking talking like a normal person, I'm like, holy fuck, I have just opened Pandora's box. This is amazing. I'm like a real insider now. And then I just was like fucking blowing money on these fucking shoot interviews, VHSs back then. That was fucking amazing. We'll talk about that another time. But yeah, that was fucking cool as shit. The old RF video days. I love those days. Those were great times.
Yeah, no, it's like.
Well, I was blessed because my best friend for a few years there was Michael Bakikio, the owner of High Spots. So, and I mean, we're still close, but you drift apart and whatever. We've never had a fight or a rift. So when I say best friends, I mean, we text and, I support him and I love the guy. So when I would go stay at his house, we would have that. First of all, there'd be tapes running constantly. And then we would just watch, whatever we had, anything that we wanted at our hands. So that was pretty awesome.
It's pretty amazing. Like you look now, like the internet, like everyone says, like the internet is so terrible. Not everybody. A lot of people say that. I think it's phenomenal because I would never have ever, when I was a kid, I never would have thought I'd be able to find fucking championship wrestling from Florida stuff on. Just at my fingertips, just type in a thing and then it plays for you. Just the amount of content that's available for us now it's like a miracle. Like for guys like, I don't know how old you are, Matt, but like Frankie and I are both, he's almost 50. I'm 47.
I'm in 40 in August, so I'm like, I'm a little bit younger, about a decade.
That's fine. So when I was a kid, I never thought I'd be able to fucking watch wrestling like all the time. And I said, like I said, since I was 5, to this day, I don't watch it as much just because, I got 3 kids and I have a job that I occasionally go to and I'm just busy. I just don't have the time, but I will never, ever not fucking love wrestling. I fucking love it. It's not the greatest thing that's ever happened to me because that's scary, but I fucking.
Well, we know Shannon isn't listening to the podcast, so I think your secret is safe with us.
I definitely love it. I love it more than anything. Then, like when the network first, like I was fucked. So 2014, I had just turned 40, and the day the WWE Network launched, like I ordered it immediately, and like Vince McMahon does like this opening video. He's like, "Oh, thanks for signing up for WWE." I was fucking crying. Like, I don't care. I'm like, fuck. I have dreamed my whole life of just watching wrestling 24 hours a day, and now it's fucking here, and it's absolutely fantastic. Like,
the only thing he needs to do now is open the fucking vault. It's getting bigger, but I mean, the Peacock just is not a great app compared to the fucking WWE Network. But
terrible. It's not. There's no comparison.
Well, I'm glad I get it for free from Comcast.
Yeah, same here. It's awful. It's so disappointing. It's like, dude, the interface is awful. I'm like, fuck, man. But the WWE Network, excuse me, was fucking awesome. It was so easy to find shit, and they didn't. There's still a lot of footage that they haven't released.
Yeah,
but they were starting to slowly eke stuff out, like when they fucking finally let out Buzz Sawyer and Tommy Rich. I'm like, holy fuck. And that match was, it was fine. I mean, it wasn't great, but it was still like, it was a hidden, we'd never seen it. But
yeah,
phenomenal.
I'm still convinced they could have done something. I've always contended this. It's a pipe dream of mine. It's like if I owned all this bullshit and wanted to monetize it, I'm like, I wouldn't do a network. I would do limited box set releases of years of content. So it's like, okay, I have 84 Mid-South. And we're going to limit it to 500 box sets. We're going to do a premium price because we're not going to release this again.
Yeah.
And if anything else, you make it a price point to where you're going to maximize with the least. And you do stuff like that. And I mean, to me, I would have loved if they would have done that for a lot of stuff, which they know people are not going to consume because let's be fair. No one outside of maybe about 500 to 1,000 people in theory are going to go search out like Mid-Atlantic,
100%.
Fucking Championship Wrestling from Florida, old WWF stuff, Memphis, Portland, San Francisco stuff. And you're just not going to get that. Your hardest of hardcore fans is going to want it because they understand the history behind it. They understand significance behind it, all that stuff. Then you monetize it. But now that he's given it away for essentially nothing, now, I mean, it's free. I mean, we paid $10, 8 years ago. I mean, I was the same way. I got it the first day. And then when I saw it wasn't really uncensored because I'm a fucking snob, I need to have. And I know people give me shit for this, and I'm like, who cares about the fucking ring? The ring music is different. I'm like, no. Like, I want to hear Hogan come out to Eye of the Tiger. I want to hear fucking Ricky Steamboat come out to Sirius. I want to hear Coco Beware come out to the Bird. I want to hear fucking the Freebirds come out to Freebird. I want to hear fucking all that.
Yeah, there's a big difference. Just the whole overall like experience, like. When the Midnight Express come out and it's just like this generic like fucking
porn music, it's terrible.
I'm like, this is terrible. And then like the Rock and Roll Express, it's like this fucking bootleg version of Hammer, not what's it called, Tie Your Mother Down or something. It's fucking terrible. I'm like, fuck that. I'm like, as much money as these motherfuckers have, they can't fucking pay ELO, $20 to play fucking Rock and Roll as King. What the fuck? How do they not? If WWE said, listen, we're going to put all the original music back in, but it's $20 about that. I'm like, done. No problem.
Well,
no fucking problem.
They could have also tiered out the network, too. It's like, we'll give you unlimited access to the vault. Yep. Everything uncut. You pay $40 to $50 a month.
Done.
And you could definitely get people that will pay that. You'll have people who'll scoff at it. And then you tier out the rest of the people. It's like, okay, you want the pay-per-views. You want access to the archival stuff. That's $15, maybe 20. And then you tier out the middle, and then that's how you make your shit. Don't just, if it's a one size fits all, and I mean, I'll say this once, I'm not fucking savvy business guy, but just basically you have content that is worth something to somebody and a group of people.
Yep.
And you should do something with it. I mean, to me, it's just like, don't let it sit. If you're mad that you want somebody to not get the footage and make money off it when you should be making money off it, and you're not, and it's just sitting and fucking could waste away, and you never know. I mean, yeah, they are a corporation, but look at fucking Crockett. Jim Cornette saving the Mid-Atlantic films, which I still need to get at some point. I hope he fucking brings them back.
Yeah.
And, and all the shit they were going to throw out, Cornette saved. I mean, that's fucking, that's history there. That's good stuff.
I thought there was, I'm not going to fucking give them advice on how to run the WWE Network, but when the WWE Network first launched, because I don't really watch, again, I now watch basketball, but I'm not a sports guy at all. But I do like the way I like sports presentation. Like if you watch Sports Center, and I like the overall presentation, right? I'm like, man, you know what would be cool is if they did like if they had like a Sports Center type show on the network every day at like 6:00. And they could do like a ticker at the bottom of the screen, like showing like house show results and shit like that. And that way you make everything fucking mean something. Again, I know the last thing Vince was worried about was fucking posting house show results on the WWE Network. But I thought, I'm like, fuck, that would be really cool. It's not like they can't do it. Obviously, now I don't even think they have fucking house shows because of COVID. But at the time, I'm like, man, they could do like a cooking show starring fucking the Big Show because he's fat. So obviously, I'm sure something once in a while. There was a lot of cool shit I thought they could have done. I'm not complaining because the network's it was fucking badass. But there was other stuff I would like to have seen. But that's just me picking nits, if you will.
Yeah, no. Well, it's just if you're the custodian of the history of the entire professional wrestling business, which, good, bad, or indifferent, is the WWF.
Yep.
And sure. You want to have everything, but it's a narrative control like anything else. I have the power. I can do this. I can do that. But it's a pipe dream, which it's like, yeah, I wish I would have had all this information and I could have fucking had all this footage and made all this money but at least preserve the integrity of the original airing of stuff, because to me you get so much more out of it. That's why I'm grateful. I've accrued a lot of that stuff, and I can watch it whenever I want, and that's fun.
And before we wrap this up, because I know Frankie's texting his friends saying, "Tell you guys shut the fuck up." I'm wondering that with AEW purchasing Ring of Honor, are they just, because everybody's like, oh, now they can do cross promotional stuff. Who knows if they'll even do that? I mean, it'd be cool if they did. I don't know if they will, but are they just purchasing it just strictly for the content? And if so, is that rumor that they're going to HBO Max, is that going to come to pass? And are they going to have a streaming service like the WWE Network where they have old AEW stuff, which is funny that you call it old. They just launched fucking 2.5 years ago.
Don't they have the Honor Club that is kind of what was their streaming service or something, along the lines of that?
I'm pretty sure that's gone away. I mean, I actually had Honor Club and I finally got rid of it. I'm like, I never fucking watched this shit. And again, nothing against Ring of Honor. It's just I don't have time. I was just giving them money almost just to be nice. It wasn't like.
Well, it's pretty much the same thing with me in New Japan World right now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, which is a great deal too. But God, it's just the times. I mean, after my daughter was born, I remember she was born just before I think the G1 of 2017. Yeah. And I remember, when Chris, when your kids are getting up in the middle of fucking night and you're just on pure adrenaline because your kid is keeping you up and you have to absolutely fucking go. You are on their schedule, not the other way around, and you're just like, okay, I'm gonna pop open the laptop. I'm gonna watch fucking night 2 of the G1, and I did that for about 8 nights. I'd watch little bits of it, which was fun, but now it's just impossible. It's like I'll keep it alive, because it deserves to be alive, and it has an audience and stuff like that.
I've signed up and canceled New Japan World probably 2 or 3 times at this point, and again, I don't have time. And if I do, like, I mostly, like, when I put on the network, the WWE Network, Peacock, whatever, 99 times out of 100, I'm going to watch old NWA or Jim Crockett. My go-to pay-per-views to watch are usually Spring Stampede 94, which I was at, or I will watch the first Clash of the Champions. Like, those are my... So, in other words, I'm not going out of my way to look for current fucking New Japan shit when I'm watching fucking Ronnie Garvin wrestle fucking Gene Ligon. You know what I mean?
No, well, funny enough, Chris, I think that was the first... Spring Stampede 94 was the first WCW event I probably saw.
Nice.
And I remember, I always remember the Cactus Jack, Kevin Sullivan, Nasty Boys, Broad Street Bully match where they just fucking beat the piss out of each other.
Yeah.
And I think after that, I think I ended up seeing like Slamboree.
Yeah.
And stuff like that, where it was like Suncoast always had the, I think, mid-90s like pay-per-views that, you know, no one fucking cared about.
Yeah.
And they would always be like $5 to $10 more than any other place, but they'd be the only fucking place that would have them, so you had to pay that price.
Yep. I bought my copy at Suncoast, and I got this VHS covered. I got it signed by both Flair and Steamboat, so that's my fucking... I'm sure it's worth $12, but, you know, it's fucking cool. It was cool for me to have, so...
Just give it 50 years when, you know, like everything else, you just give it to time and then it's worth fucking $500 million.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe it's worth that much now.
It's only currency. You can just make this shit up.
Yeah, true. I'm like, this is worth $10,000. Just give me money.
Well, with you, it's like we just give you an assortment of fancy cheeses and $1,000.
Yeah, I think that's fair. You know where that assortment of cheeses thing came from? So... We were fucking Frankie's like, shut up. So me and Drew Samuels were talking about Doug Summers working like independent shows, and I said something like, I'm like, how did they pay Doug Summers in cheese or something? And Drew Samuels said he was pretending to be Doug Summers. He's like, I was told there would be an assortment of cheeses. So that's where and then it just took off. And then now it's just out of control.
It's like the Jaworski wank, and you know, it's legendary at this point.
And the funny thing is, I fucking love cheese, so it's like it really is a double thing. It's like,
you're fucking north of, you're essentially south of Wisconsin, which is pretty much the land of beer and cheese, and it's fuck. It's all comfort food, man. I know what that's like.
All right, what do you got, Frankie? You ready to take us home?
Bro, I've been ready for about 2 hours.
Fuck. Frankie in his head, he's just like, you know what? These two marks are fucking, you know, giving me bonus content, but Jesus Christ, they drone on like two fat broads that have been left out in the sun too long.
That's not true, man. I'm not even listening to most of it, but had we not done a couple hours last night, I would probably be a little more chipper.
Yeah,
but I'm doing back-to-back late nights.
Well, like I said, it's it's bonus content. I mean, it's just like this is things that, you know, that can build the audience and turn the tide and make things great.
Yeah, I might be up from 50 downloads a week to 52.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
fucking 2 more than you had before.
Yeah. Well, Francis, I'm sorry that I fell asleep last night.
You motherfucker! How dare you? You know, take our precious time we took away from our goddamn families, and you couldn't get your ass on. How dare you? How dare you?
I apologize.
I know.
Well, you know, I don't do this podcast for me. I do it for you guys and for your kids and for your kids that one day they'll Google Matt Crowder and they'll hear you talking for what's going to be now probably a total of about 10 hours about wrestling with various guys. So they'll say, geez, this is what my granddad was doing while my grandma and mom were asleep.
Oh, fuck. I mean, I think, before you came on, Chris, because I think my episode was almost 3 hours, and that was, we did that probably, about close to 4 weeks ago.
Yep.
And then we did Travis last night was about just a little over 2.5.
Yep.
And now we're approaching 2.5. It's like it's a fucking trilogy, and it's like, and it's fun to do shit like this because it's like we've been cooped up for so long, but also it's always great to talk about shit that we grew up with, and whether it's wrestling or anything else, it's always fun to get that out with people.
Is you ready to say goodbye?
Yeah, almost. Well, let me just touch on that. Yeah, I agree with you, and I'm really hoping that during the CWF Legends Fan Fest on June the 4th weekend that we could do something and do some recording. You know, I don't want to, bulldog anybody's time once we get there, but I think it would be really neat to have a roundtable discussion or something of some sort, Chris.
Broken Kayfabe simulcast with, a host of characters.
Are you going to FanFest, Matt, or no?
No, sadly I can't make it work this year. It's around my anniversary too. Well, the funny thing is like I have my mother-in-law and sister-in-law's birthdays are 2 days apart, and that's usually the weekend. Lots of celebration. It's just like anything else. No, at some point I am definitely going to make the trek because at this point I need to, because I actually, before I got on, I was listening to the FanFest episode on Breaking Kayfabe. So I just, because I'm woefully behind, and that's by design, because to me it's like I listen to probably 6 to 8 podcasts a week, and I have my schedule of when I listen to them and everything else. So it's not like I listen religiously to one and that's the only one. And it's Frankie's podcast has now became in my not to do a cheap plug, but is in my rotation now. And then listening to your and Travis's first episode, you told me about the AWA podcast, so I have to start listening to that too. So which I'll be happy to kind of dig into and stuff like that. So and I have the Two Cornet podcasts, which every week are always fun to listen to. So but definitely it's on the bucket list because it'd just be fun, and me to get to fuck away from people for normal people for a little bit will actually be fun.
I understand. FanFest was. I said to Barry while I was there, I'm like, man, this is you do a really good job. I'm like, this is awesome. This is so much fun. Yeah, it's great. It's well worth it.
But Matt, I'm going to warn you, there are no normal people there. There are a bunch of.
No, that's fine. That's why I said I need great normal people. I need nut jobs and fucking reprobates. It's fine.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to say what Zaucha would say, which is they're a bunch of fat wrestling marks.
But the thing with this is that, like, if you go to like a regular wrestling convention or whatever, it's usually a bunch of like smelly people. But because CWF, it skews to like an older demographic. Everybody there's clean. Like everybody's like they're their 40s, 50s, and 60s. Like we're all like we're.
So they don't go out back and hose them off because they're not welcome in polite society, is what you're saying.
But basically, pretty much. All right. Well,
but this is, like I said, this has been, at this point, has been the event that it's the Mega Powers Explode. It's the Ultimate Challenge all rolled into one. We have gotten the Zenith, that is Chris Zaucha, and then we've got, in the other corner, Travis Reigns, and we sandwich that together with me, the Broken Kayfabe Iron Man at this point, as far as logging however many fucking hours of podcasting I've done in the last month.
Hey, Zaucha, how many podcasts have you been on? Stick to Wrestling, Working Fans?
I was on my nephew's podcast, and he does, I don't know if he's still doing it. He does a podcast called What Do You Like? And he just talks to like different people, and they talk about the stuff that they're into. So not surprisingly, mine was about fucking wrestling. And then I did a couple with my friend Danny. He does a Cubs podcast. And I go on there and I don't talk about the Cubs because I don't fucking watch baseball, but we talk about a bunch of other bullshit. But yeah, stick to wrestling. That was my big. That's definitely the one that's gotten me the most attention.
Jesus! I mean, you pretty much had the meme of the century. I mean, God damn it! I piss myself every time there's a new meme of you trying to big time a table at Fan.
I did too. I go to her. I'm like, listen, I don't want to have to do, but I don't know if you. But I was supposed to stick to wrestling, and she's like, what the fuck?
I would have found out. I'll be perfectly honest. I would have fucking not been able to keep it together if I'd heard that statement.
Hey, I thought that the Working Fans podcast was really good. That guy asked a lot of really good questions. Yeah. It's just the audio was just horrible.
Yeah, the first one that I was on, the audio was terrible. I think the second one was a little bit better, but the first one, the audio was awful.
Oh, I'll have to look for that second one then.
Yeah, I think that might just be on YouTube. I'm not sure.
Oh, okay, yeah. Because when I searched it out, I searched it out by your name. I only found one.
Yeah, it might be on their YouTube channel.
So, Chris, are you trying to get McAdam to get you back on for Battle Bowl 93?
No, you know what the funny thing is like I didn't reach out to him. He reached out to me. I'm not saying that like I'm a big star because I'm fucking not, but he reached out to me like well over a year ago, and we just couldn't make it work due to like my work schedule. And then finally, I was able to make it.
That's fucking awesome, though. I mean, I love John's podcast. John does a really, really good job. I mean,
yeah, he's good
with his stuff.
Yeah,
and it's just it's the right amount of time. I mean, trust me, I love a good podcast. I mean, fuck, when you're listening to 5 and 6 hour between the sheets fucking podcast, which is great, but you know, sometimes it's like information overload. I'm like, okay, I can't. My fucking attention span can't take that no more.
Yes, yeah, same here.
All right, fellas, thank you guys so much for your time. We're at 2.5 hours almost. Very thankful you guys got to hang out, and sorry Travis couldn't be here because it would have, I'm sure.
Well, you know what? We can always bring back the best of, and we can do a lot more hokey bullshit for about 3.5 hours. We don't care.
Well, so for the Fan Fest, probably about a month out, we're going to do like a what we're calling it a bash, the Broken Kayfabe bash, where we'll have a bunch of people on and rotate them in and out. So
there you go. Good idea.
Yeah, that'll be great. And then I'm surprised. Barry and Jeff would not. I wonder if they've even been approached actually doing, actually Breaking Kayfabe like podcast at FanFest.
I think Barry's too busy.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah.
If he had a gopher, maybe can you watch things for 3 hours? Thanks.
He does. He's got, Travis Raines was helping out doing stuff. Chris Spiker was helping out doing stuff. I'm sure I'll be tagged to do some stuff this year, which I'm very thankful and happy to be able to do.
With them gimmicks, brother.
Well, I ain't helping with shit. Fuck him. I ain't doing. I was there. I'm there to eat meat, fucking axe and smash. I just tell him, I'll go, listen, I got a toddler. I ain't doing shit. Don't ask me for anything.
So is Bryson making the trip with you, Chris?
As of right now, yep. All of us are going.
So. Yeah, I can just see his eyes being big saucers at seeing all this shit going on right in front of him.
Well, my oldest, he has summer school, and I think it starts like around that time. And I'm like, well, listen, I don't care. Because I'll never hear if he doesn't get to go, I'll never hear the end of it. Not because he wants to go fucking hang out with Mass Superstar, but he just wants to go to Florida. So I understand.
Yeah, we'll sweat to death in June because
I can't wait.
In Florida, Florida in the summertime is no joke.
Well, the good news is there's a pool, so all of us fat, sweaty, smelly guys, we'll go have some homoerotic times in the pool together.
I'll make sure I wash my taint just that much extra special, so it fucking is nice and goddamn spotless.
Oh, thank God. Cool. All right, guys.
All right. Good night, fellas. Thank you so much.
Be good, fellas.
All right, man.
And we are back, Ariel. And, one other thing that I did want to talk about is the CWF Legends Fan Fest, June the 4th. at the Residence Inn by Marriott, Suncoast Parkway, something. It's got this long freaking name. But if you go to just Google CWF Legends Fan Fest, you'll find it. You'll go to the Eventbrite website where you can purchase the tickets. Hey, make sure if you are a fan of the Brothership, if you're a fan of Breaking Kayfabe with Bowdrin and Barry, that you come and just hang out with the Brothership. It was one of the best times I've ever had in my life, and we're really looking forward to being there again this year. Ariel, I don't know if you saw in the Facebook group last night, but Philip Kahn, who I met at the Fan Fest last year, he subscribed to our new YouTube channel. So yes. I don't know how people normally listen to this, but me, I just use my iPhone app. But if you watch it on YouTube or if you listen to it on YouTube, I did finally get that up and going. And so he commented, and him living in the Wilmington, North Carolina area where I used to live, I told him that on that same channel, because I just used the same channel and I used the same email address, there was an old podcast that I used to do when I lived there. And I did that podcast for about a year. And so he goes and he listens and he says, "Oh my gosh, I have known your old co-host since like the first grade." Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw it. I thought he was referring to me. I'm like, wait a minute. But yeah, it wasn't me.
Yeah, that's no, it was not you. It was so that's pretty crazy that you have those connections. But anyway, you can go, and I've uploaded all the past Broken Kayfabe episodes to that YouTube channel, and all the ones going forward will be up there as well. So thank everyone for subscribing and listening. And like I said earlier, we are the most altruistic podcast. We don't do it for us. We're not making money, don't want to make money, don't care about the money. We're making it just so that you can hear and get to know members of the Brothership. And if you would like to be on Broken Kayfabe, just shoot me a message and we'll see about getting you on. This is the last interview that I have recorded. And I would love to get, some folks that haven't been on before, but if I need to, I'll go back to the well and get some old faithfuls. This sort of turned into the Matt Crowder show. He's been on like 4 times.
Yeah.
I'm not complaining. Great guy. I love him. Anybody that wants to be on, just shoot me a message.
Yeah. It's you know what? Speaking of the YouTube channel and subscribers, my girlfriend actually subscribed to the podcast on YouTube.
Oh, well, thank her for us.
Yeah, well, now I can't really say anything because she'll listen.
Well, sure you can. You can say, "Honey, you are the best girlfriend on the planet."
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, absolutely. She is the best girlfriend on the planet, bar none.
See, there you go.
Yeah, kayfabe. Kayfabe, brother, kayfabe. Oh, you know what? She told me last night. Our podcast is called Broken Kayfabe. She read it as Broken Kayfabe.
Yeah, Broken Kayfabe.
We're the Broken Kayfabe podcast.
Well, that's Travis Rain's next podcast he's starting.
Exactly. I just started laughing when she told me that, and then it's. But yeah, thank you for all the subscribers so far on the YouTube channel. It's actually a lot easier to listen on the podcast because I was having some issues with the link before, in the early podcasts and whatnot. So because I guess it was an old link. No, it was on an older website that you were using to put up the podcast before. I can't remember, but I had some issues trying to listen to it in the beginning, but now it's on YouTube. It's easy. It's great. Bada bing, bada boom. I don't know. I'm sorry. This is not my morning right now.
Well, one other thing that I did want to talk about before we get out of here, because I do have to go pick up some kids here in a little bit, was Jeff said this week on the podcast about the Undertaker streak being broken. Do you remember that?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Could you remind everyone what he said?
Oh, I thought you meant about the streak being the streak being broken in general, but I don't remember what he said.
Well, he said that it should have been a big deal.
Oh, it shouldn't, or
should not.
Should not have been a big deal. Okay.
Yeah. Right. But so
Yeah.
I kind of what I'm asking you, Ariel, is what's your take on the Undertaker streak? Should it have been broken? Should it not have been broken? Should it have been broken sooner? Should it have been broken later?
Well, what was the record again? 21-1, I think it was. I can't remember. Okay, at first, I was part of that camp where it should have never have been broken. Like it should just he should have remained undefeated until the end of his career. But now that I look back, it's like, well, it's Brock Lesnar. Dude's a beast. If anyone should break the streak, it should have been him. My only problem with it was it just the number 21-1 kind of looks weird to me. I guess it's my OCD. Like if it was like 20-1, I don't know. I mean, it's an even number for sure, but it's like 21-1. It just 21 seems kind of odd.
So he was 21-0. Then he lost to Brock, and then he ended up being 25-2.
Oh, 25-2. Okay, yeah. At the time it was 21-1. Yeah, so 25-2. Oh.
He also lost the match to Roman Reigns.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that one.
So that was a no holds barred match at WrestleMania 33.
Yeah.
So here's my take. Yeah, I think of course someone should have broken it, but since they were already up there into the 20s, so that's over 20 years. Obviously, I think they should have kept it going, and I think that that should have been the Undertaker's last match. So if it wasn't going to be his match, then they just keep building it up. To the WrestleMania. Can someone beat the Undertaker, which is kind of what they were doing, and make a bigger and bigger and bigger deal out of it year. And then when he finally loses, that's it. He's done, and he has that one loss, and it makes Brock Lesnar more. And I don't know that you needed Brock Lesnar, but Brock is the person to beat him. I mean, Brock is a big guy, legitimate, got the background. He's, ferocious. He's the guy to do it. I don't think that Roman was the guy to do it the second time.
Yeah. You know what? Your reasoning makes absolute sense. If Undertaker were to lose at WrestleMania, that should have been his last match. The fact that they made him lose already, it just destroys that whole mystique where you can make him lose again. That's why he lost a second time to Roman, and it was not a big deal anymore because he already lost the first time to Brock Lesnar. So him losing a second time to me was like, okay, well, he already lost once. I mean, I don't know. If he went undefeated this whole time and lost his that one WrestleMania match, it should have been over for him. But since he lost already, that just kind of makes every WrestleMania match of his afterwards not so special anymore,
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah.
That's my point.
Yeah, that's your point. I agree with you. I didn't really think about it that way. I was more like, okay, at first I didn't like it, but then I was like, well, it's Brock Lesnar. It makes sense. He's a legit badass. He can probably whoop Undertaker's ass in real life. Sure he can. For sure he can. And then, afterwards, after the initial shock, because I saw it live on pay-per-view, and I was like everybody else, I was shocked. I'm like, oh shit, really? And then, a couple days later, a week later or so, after the shock had faded and whatnot, I'm like, oh, well, it makes sense. And then I was like, now Undertaker's free to lose as many more times as he wants since his record's already been tarnished.
Yeah. So that's my 2 cents, and on just that. So there's a couple things you and I talked about. We want to talk about more of what Jeff and Barry talk about on the podcast. So that's why I thought I would bring up these 2 things. We review that little match, and then we talked about the Undertaker streak, which Jeff mentioned. And so now it's time for the go home.
Cool. I should take notes next time. Next topic. The topics that we talk about next week or next episode. I should write some more notes about it. I'm talking a little bit too fast. I had 2 cups of coffee. I'm kind of wired right now. I'm really sorry, guys. This is not my day, but I'm just.
All right. On that note, I want to thank everyone for listening. Thank you, Ariel, for recording with me twice in a week. Not a lot of podcasts can do that. So I'm very thankful to have you as my partner in crime. And thank you, everybody, for subscribing and listening. And we want to see everyone at the Legends Fan Fest in June 4th in Lutz, Florida. Ariel, I know you can't make it, but there'll be some pictures and some videos and maybe some audio clips from that event.
Awesome. I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see the food you guys eat over there, too. I want to we don't have a Portillo's here or anything like that, so I'm more excited about the food.
All right. Take care, everyone. Thank you again for listening. Ariel, I'll talk to you later, buddy.
All right. Bye, guys. Thanks.
Bye.